Hello, hello, and welcome to your channel, Clear Waters. Having some technical difficulties. Demons are attacking us. But here we are, with audio, with video. and everything beautiful. Tonight, we're gonna be asking believers in invisible beings some questions. These are just questions. Maybe uncomfortable questions for you, possibly. But let me check my audio real quick. Beautiful. Spider-Man. Welcome to the live stream. Please, believers in God's invisible beings, entities, please come to this live stream, because we're not going to analyze your invisible being. We're going to analyze you. We're gonna do a little bit of digging, try to understand how you end up believing in an invisible being. So, NFL music, Shili Shaikh, NFL music, I'm a doubter. So, apparently we have enough people here. We're gonna start right away. One person is good for me. So what's gonna happen right now, what you're going to see in this presentation, let me explain it to you what's gonna happen here. This is going to be a viral video. Why? Why? You will find out here in a few minutes. Why? If you are a person that you're using your head, your thinking, your critical thinking is turned on, probably you will consider discussing the topic of this video with someone else, believer or unbeliever. These are 10 questions for someone that believes that there's a God or being or entity out there invisible. So this presentation is going to be composed of 10 questions for you as a believer. Are you ready? I was thinking maybe, how about I invite, I don't know, 3 people, 3 believers to the live stream to join me on voice, and I will ask you these questions to 3 believers and let you answer the questions. Because if the God that you believe is real, you shouldn't have any problem answering these 10 questions. Not at all. I think that these are not trick questions. These are real questions trying to understand how someone end up believing that there's an invisible being up there. So, NFL music, if you think that there is enough evidence for God or proof of God, you're welcome to answer these 10 questions. Probably you're going to be safer for yourself to answer them in the chat and not on a call using the Discord. I was saying that I wanted to invite 3 believers to the Discord and answer these 10 questions that I'm going to ask believers. But I suspect that no believer is going to be calling to try to answer these 10 questions, even when these are not trick questions. If your God is real, you should be fairly easily able to answer these 10 questions. So if anybody as a believer wants to join the Discord and get two other believers, so you don't have to answer the questions yourself, and join. It doesn't matter. If you don't want to join and try to answer these questions on the Discord, you can do it on the chat, on the safety of the chat. And then I'll just ask the questions and put them out there, because I'm tired of you telling me that your God is real. Javier, God is real. Yeah, it's real. Okay, answer these 10 questions. Very simple. So let's go to scene 1 of our presentation. 10 questions for believers. Any believer that wants to call at the Discord link and participate in this presentation, answering 10 questions. It can be more than one believer. Maybe you want to gang on, on me, maybe 3 of you at the same time answer these questions. But we're not gonna wait. If you want to call in right now. So, in case you don't know it, in case you're a believer in an invisible being, like the God of the Bible, Allah, Oludomare, or whatever, these are some of the many religions that teach the existence of invisible beings. We're going to start with Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Taoism, of course, Christianity, Voodoo, Santeria, Spiritism, and many other religions and spiritual traditions. Excuse me? What? You're uncomfortable that I put Christianity right beside Voodoo and Santeria? Same thing, no difference. So, what invisible beings are these religions or doctrines are teaching people? Some of the invisible beings are God, gods, angels, demons, Satan, the Holy Spirit, Allah, spirits, souls, Oludomare, Orishas, Bondie, Bodhisattvas, however you pronounce that in English, Jesus, of course, don't forget Jesus, and many, many more invisible beings. Excuse me? What? You thought that God was the only invisible being? No, my friend, you're just misinformed. There are many, many, many invisible beings. The one that you believe that is real is not the only invisible being people believe that are real. So, now that you know some of the religions that teach the existence of invisible beings, and now that you know some of the names or entities, invisible beings, now we're gonna start with these 10 questions for believers in invisible beings. Last call for anybody that wants to participate as a believer, trying to answer these questions on the Discord. Anybody? Not, I'll just proceed with the questions and you can answer them behind the safety of the chat. So for anybody that's been telling me over and over, Javier, God is real, God is real, God is real, God is real. Oh yeah, it's real. Okay, how about you answer these 10 questions? Very simple. But because I know you're not gonna show up and try to answer these 10 questions and you're gonna stay in the safety of the chat, I'm going to proceed without you as a believer and ask these 10 questions. Guys, ready? Ready for number one? This is gonna be good, man. let me do my evil laugh, my satanic laugh. Man, that satanic laugh never works. But here we go with question number one to believers. Just waiting for anybody who wants to call in. No believers calling in, trying to answer these questions. The ones that are always saying, God is real, God is king, Jesus is king. No? All right, let's go with number one. Question number one for you as a believer in an invisible being. When was the first time you heard the name of the invisible being you believe is real? All right, let's look at those chat because no believer is showing up on the Discord to try to answer these 10 questions. That's how strongly believers' faith is in the invisible God that they believe is real. When was the first time you heard the name of the invisible being you believe is real? So if you believe that God is real, when was the first time you heard the word God? Were you 5 years old? Were you 10 years old? Were you 20 years old? Come on, believers. Come on. Believer in any God, any being. Allah, Oludomare, Bondie, God, gods. Nobody answered the question, when was the first time you heard the name of the being that you believe is real? Were you 5 years old? Come on. I'm waiting. Nobody answers. This is why I suspect that this thing about your belief in a God is absolutely BS. 100%. Nobody as a believer wants to answer the first question because you know what's coming for the next 9 questions. My evil laugh sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Out of Babylon says, when I was taught by my mother, how old were you? Judea, who says it's a hard question? And we're going to start deflecting. And Javier, what are you doing? You don't know nothing. Oh, we have a caller out of Babylon. You told me you're not a believer. So, all those believers in the live stream that continuously tell me God is real, Jesus is king, and you cannot answer not even one question. I'm going to call you Dr. Fauci. Are you going to play the fifth? Hey, out of Babylon, hold on. So we have one courageous believer out of Babylon. Are you a believer? Hello? I have the same problem as yesterday, breaking up.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes. How old were you when first time you heard the name of the being you think is real?
Well, I can't give you the age, but I can give you the person who taught me, which was my mother.
More or less, how old were you?
Probably let's say 5.
5 years old. Judea says 6, 7 years old. And Spider-Man is also saying 6, 7 years old. Guys, to make it this faster, you can join the Discord and we will go way faster and join out of Babylon. Maybe we can have 3 believers in the Discord. But anyways, let's continue with the second question. Who introduced you to this name or the information about this invisible being? Out of Babylon said that it was his mother. Any believers wants to answer question number 2 on the chat? Now that out of Babylon is the only one courageous enough to call and try to answer this question. So Judea says, your mom. NFL music, my family. Normally, these are the people that introduce us to an invisible being. All right, so let's go with question number 3. If the name or information was not provided to you by a person, who else were you provided with the name of the invisible being you believe is real? You guys already said that family were the ones that introduced you to the name or information of the invisible being that you believe is real. Because I asked this question, because lots of people were introduced to this information by friends or by some other means that is not family. Judea says Sunday school teachers, priests, preachers. The book.
You know,
The book. All right,
that holds
so
true for most everything else, though.
I'm sorry, say it again, out of Babylon.
I said that holds true for most everything else, both good and bad. If it's not your family or your friends teaching you, the streets will teach you, both good and bad. You can learn. If my mother didn't teach me Christianity, I can learn it from the streets. If my father didn't teach me Islam, I can learn it from the streets. So
Okay,
so if
so
it's out there for anybody to learn, don't get me wrong.
so this information is coming from other people. Can we agree as
Oh,
believers that is not coming to you by the invisible entity or being that you believe is real?
I agree.
Judea, do you agree? Spider-Man, that you agree? NFL music, do you agree?
I mean, this is how anything starts. You learn
Yes,
it by somebody else.
yes. Not directly by the invisible being. Give opportunity to Judea, to NFL music and Spider-Man that apparently are responding.
I mean, you know how I feel, Clearwaters. We are God.
Hold on, hang in there. We're gonna be asking this 10 questions. All right. Apparently, some people are maybe thinking about these questions a little bit. Like, wait a second.
It shouldn't be hard. These are simple questions. The people don't want to admit it to themselves because they think something outside of themselves, but it's only us. This is not hard. My mother taught me. And if my mother didn't teach me, the streets will.
It seems to me that out of Babylon, you are admitting it, brave
Oh,
enough.
it's
But
true.
the people that are participating also on the chats are not answering that question.
There is no sky daddy. It's the truth.
But out of Babylon, I thought you were a believer.
I am a believer, but my definition of God is different from what's taught. Just because my
All
mother taught me the rudimentary or the beginning of it don't mean I have to stick with it. I
all right.
grow with it.
All right. All right. Okay. So all those believers that normally participate on the live stream apparently are really, really quiet right now. I wonder why.
Again, Christians would disagree with me because they see somebody apart from themselves,
Uh,
separated from God for all eternity. That's nonsense.
yeah. So NFL Music says, I know people that got it directly from God, but not me. I'm asking about you, not other people. NFL Music, that another attempt to evade the question. So I think, I mean, if we can be honest and adults, we can agree that you're not getting this information from the invisible entity directly. You're getting it from other people. So let's go on with question number 4. Did the name or information about the invisible entity or invisible being start to have value to you at the same moment or later in life? Basically, I'm asking, the information of the invisible being that was provided to you by your family or some other source started to have immediately value to you, or it was later in life?
Oh, you might not like my answer.
Throw it out there.
Well, I mean, at 5 and when I was younger in Christianity and doing all the things that was taught, the name had more value then. Now, in my years of understanding now, none of the names have value. All names of God on this earth today is blasphemous because, again, God is going to save all. Every
Okay.
name
All
that a
right. All
man
right.
comes
All
with.
right. All right. All right. All right. Out of Babylon. We're just answering these questions. Udea says, I'll be quiet. Why is that? I mean, you are told is valuable. Yeah, but when people are told about this information about Allah, God, Olodumare, Odin, some people don't start to see value in the information immediately, especially if you're a kid. It's not probably until later in your life that you start finding value in the information that you were provided about the invisible being, that you start believing that is true because of something that you find value in the information. So far,
That
we
is,
can agree that you're getting this information from someone else, not directly from a God, and that you either find value in the information the moment you received it or later in your life. So we're gonna present with question number five. Hey guys, we gotta move on. So question number 5 is, when the name and or information about the invisible being started to have value to you, what was going on around you? Were there feelings involved? You remember out of Babylon?
again, when the name have value, I would say to an extent of,
If you ever
again,
find
trying to
if
make sure.
if you ever found importance in the information about the invisible being at one moment in your life, were you at church? Were you singing? Were you praying? Were you feeling something?
No. Again, for me, when I went to church, I felt the energy in the church, but the energy, again, I put it to you this way: everybody screaming and hollering. You probably seen the scene. They caught the Holy Ghost, this, that, and the third. I was the person in church questioning: is it the Holy Ghost, or is it this nice beat that's playing in the church background that's making everybody do the boogie?
So you were not finding or feeling anything or finding value in the information at that moment.
I mean, I felt something, but again, I
Yes,
question: was it the music or
but
was
you
it the
felt
Holy Ghost?
something. Yeah, but you felt something.
I mean, I'm a human being. It's music playing. You're gonna feel something.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. So, the NFL music says no, no feelings. Yeah, I think you're inaccurate in
Inaccurate. If there's a beat playing, you're gonna at least tap your feet. You're gonna feel something.
yes, the moment you start finding value in the information that you were provided about an invisible being is because you're starting to feel something for that invisible being. So let's go with question number 6. What about the information that was provided to you about the invisible being you believe is real convince you that the invisible entity was real? Was it something you experienced through your five senses? Did you see the being or the entity? Did you hear it? Did you touch it or smell it or taste it? Or was it a
No,
feeling?
it was understanding. Once I understood the message of the Bible, I understood what was going on.
So what convinced you was information.
Of course, everything is based off of information. We come into this world without
So
anything, knowing nothing.
so you have no first person experience with this invisible being.
I can't have first person experience with myself. I am God.
Okay. Anybody on the chat? Do you have anything as a first person experience with this invisible entity that you believe is real? You see it? Have you seen it? Have you smelled
I
it?
can.
Have you touched it? Or you felt something? NFL Music says, I saw people getting healed and demons getting cast out of people. That's not what I'm asking. NFL Music, I don't know if you're paying attention or deflecting everything you're being asked, but I don't expect anything different.
Again,
Hugo Vaz, if this guy's God, he's doing God no favors.
by
Wow.
saying that all will be saved, that is the love of God.
All right, let's go with question number 7. How are you able to determine that the invisible being you believe is real is actually real, while the invisible beings that other people believe are real are not?
Can I answer?
Yeah, how are you able to determine?
By doing unto others as you will have others do unto you. That is how you determine who is real.
All right. All right. Anybody else on the chat wants to answer the question? How are you able to determine that the invisible entity you believe is real is actually real, while the invisible beings that other people believe are real are not? NFL Music says because I saw all what I said and others saw too. Okay, Spider-Man says that's why we Christians remain quiet because you clear waters don't respect our answers.
It's
You know,
music.
I give a chance for people to call in and answer these questions, and you're gonna complain because someone is asking questions and you haven't answered pretty much any of the questions. And other believers that are attempting to answer the questions are deflecting and they don't want to answer the questions. Only out of Babylon is the only courageous one that
I'm not scared. I'm
called
not
in.
scared of being wrong. None of that.
Yeah, I
We
appreciate
are
that.
human beings. We are
So,
human beings. I am not
yes.
scared of being wrong.
So, in my point of view, I don't think anybody has provided me here in this moment any way to determine which of these invisible beings is the real one. Nobody has provided anything that is reliable to determine which of these invisible beings is real. So let's go with question number 8. Have you ever asked the person who provided you with the information about the invisible entity or being you believe is real, how he or she concluded that the invisible entity you both believe is real is actually real? Did you ever ask your mom out of Babylon? How she concluded that the invisible being was real? It's a question for believers. What about this question is offending you? If you're offended, it's because maybe you don't want to answer these questions because they're uncomfortable to you. Maybe they threaten your stability, emotional stability in the idea of the invisible being that you think that is real. You're attached emotionally, and these questions, someone asking questions, make you uncomfortable, and you find it disrespectful that anybody will question your belief. Wow. My question number 8 was, have you ever asked the person who provided you with the information about the invisible entity you believe is real, how he or she concluded that the invisible entity you both believe is real is actually real? Have you asked that person that question? I'm waiting for believers if they want to answer these questions, because apparently every live stream, God is real. God is real. Jesus is king. Jesus is king. But I'm asking you questions. Oh, yeah, why are you being disrespectful?
Yeah, in so many words I've asked it.
So let's continue with question number 9, because these questions, this live stream, this presentation is being recorded and it's going to go out to the world for every believer to ask themselves these questions, and for other believers to ask other believers these questions. As believers of other invisible beings, these questions. Question number 9. Do you have primary source evidence of the invisible being you believe is real that does not depend on your feelings, interpretations, or the information provided by other people?
That's kind of weird.
I repeat it just in case. Do you have primary source evidence of the invisible entity you believe is real that does not depend on your feelings, interpretations, or the information provided to you by other people?
That's like me telling you to bring a sample of the wind without any of the debris or the things you can see or use by which you can determine that there's wind out there. That
Nope.
makes no sense.
Nope. 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 What
God
are
is love. It's invisible. I can't show you love physically.
so just say I don't have primary source evidence. That's it.
I can't show you love physically. I mean, would you demand for your mother to show you love physically?
It doesn't matter. You just say I don't have primary source evidence.
Would you demand for your mother to show you primary source evidence of how she loves you?
Okay, I tell
Just,
you, I don't have primary
just
source
like you can't
evidence of my mother's love.
I'm asking your questions. Answer my simple question.
Yeah, I answer your question. I don't have
Because
primary
God is
source
love.
evidence.
So now you telling me to show you like I can bottle love into a container and show you
So,
love.
so what is the answer? What is your
Love can
answer?
only be shown just like wind can only be shown by
Okay,
the
so
people
the
and the group.
basic answer out of Babylon, this is not complicated. You could just say, I don't have primary source evidence.
But for some reason, you want me to bottle love, but you can't bottle your mother's love.
I don't have primary source evidence of my mother's love.
Every source evidence of your mother's love.
I don't have any.
Do you know she loved you?
I suspect it. But what does that question have to do with my question about God?
What is your proof?
Source of Babylon, this is not complicated. If you're not able to come up with primary source evidence of the invisible being that you think is real, you can just say, I don't have a way to provide primary source evidence.
Provided is by showing love in yourself, by loving one another as yourself. I'm answering your questions, you're just not accepting the answers.
So what is your primary source evidence?
I just told you the only thing I can show you is the love I have for others.
How are you going to show me that?
By doing for others. That's the only thing I can do.
And what does that have to do with an invisible being?
And once again, you're looking for a sky daddy. We both agree that there's no such thing as a sky daddy outside of ourselves.
All right. Yeah, I got you. Anybody on the chat? Do you have primary source evidence of the invisible being you believe is real that does not depend on your feelings, interpretations of, or the information provided to you by other people? The real Indiana Cones Bruce says his evidence is love. Whose evidence? I'm not asking that question, in real Indiana Cones.
God is love.
I'm sorry, out of Babylon, that does not answer the question.
Now, once again, are you looking for entertainment value for money, or are you looking for answers?
I'm looking for an answer. What is your primary source evidence that the invisible being that you think that is real?
Are you looking for a sky daddy?
I'm looking for an answer to my question.
Invisible being. You keep saying invisible being. I said there's no such thing.
Okay. So do you believe that God is real?
Yes.
Okay. God is not invisible?
God is love. Love is invisible.
Okay, so God is invisible. So why are you correcting me?
What is love? What is love, Clearwater?
Out of Babylon, this conversation is going to go nowhere. It's a simple question for someone to provide primary source evidence of an invisible being that does not depend on your feelings, interpretations, or the information provided by other people.
You are looking for a physical thing called love. What you love might not be what I love. It is not a physical thing. You might love ham sandwiches. I might not be able to stand ham sandwiches. Love is something that's different for everybody.
Out of Babylon, so what you're saying is that you have no way of providing primary source evidence. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying. I gave you the answer. You just not listening. Just like my man said.
Okay. All right. Let's leave it. As I am not. I don't know, because I'm the devil or something. I'm not accepting the response.
No.
Let's press on with question number 10. And final question. So I don't see anybody on the chat providing primary source evidence without your feelings, interpretations of information provided by other people. And question number 10, do you think some people believe in invisible beings that do not actually exist? If so, how would you convince them that the being they believe exists does not actually exist without offering them the information about the invisible being you believe is real?
See, the same answer I gave you before. I mean, these are easy questions.
Okay, what's your answer?
Again, show the love of God by doing for others. Period.
So if someone else believes
It's not about a name. It's not about a name. It's about help.
All right.
I don't know where you live, Clearwater, but do you see the people begging for change?
You gave your answer out of Babylon. I appreciate it. Um, any believers want to answer these questions? If you think some people believe in invisible beings that do not actually exist, if so, how would you convince them that the being they believe exists does not actually exist without offering them information about the invisible being you believe is real? So if you believe in the God of the Bible and you know that another person believes in Olodumare, how are you going to convince them that Olodumare is not real without trying to offer your God as a change for that person? I don't see any answers from any of the usual believers trying to even answer the question, because it seems to me we're not talking about real entities or beings. If that was the case, you would be easily able to answer these questions in a clear, concise way. But because you have no absolute way to answer any of these questions clearly, concisely about the being you believe is real and exists, at least myself, I can clearly, after asking these 10 questions and from believers trying to answer these questions, it's very clear that all of these invisible beings does not exist, at least the ones from these religions. Let's see if Diva tried to answer at least this last question. Javier, love is something which is immaterial, right? What does that have to do with my question? I think apart from out of Babylon, there were maybe two believers in the invisible entity from the Bible attempting to try to answer maybe the two first questions, maybe three, and that's it. Because I think that as a believer in an invisible being, you know that these questions are very uncomfortable for you. Maybe like Spider-Man is saying, oh, I'm being disrespectful by asking questions. I think you're disrespecting yourself by believing in an invisible being. And you know that most likely you're making that up, but you're not able to come clean and accept it. And that is the reason why you don't want to participate in this type of conversations. I'm not telling you your God is dead or is, I don't know, it's not real. I don't want to jump to conclusions. That's why I'm asking questions. I could make this live stream instead of asking questions, just throwing out claims or make up a stuff. But not even asking questions to believers that are willing to engage in conversation or try to answer these questions for anybody. If I don't play Javier, is love invisible, but you believe it exists based on the evidence? I have absolutely nothing to do with the question I'm asking, Diva. You know, I would not expect a believer in an invisible entity or being to try or attempt to answer these questions. They are too difficult for you to answer, because I think it will be very easy to see that this belief that you have in an invisible being comes from your feelings, not from a God. In case you missed the beginning of the live stream, these are some of the religions that teach the existence of invisible beings, including Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Taoism, Christianity, Voodoo, Santeria, Spiritism, and many other religions and spiritual traditions. And in case you want some of the names of these invisible beings, some of these invisible beings are God. Of course, some religions teach about gods, angels, demons, Satan, the Holy Spirit, Allah, spirits, souls, Olodumare, Orishas, Bondie, Bodhisattvas, Jesus, and many, many more invisible beings. You have never seen one of these invisible beings. So I did my labor to try to get information from believers about their invisible being that they believe is real, and probably try to quiet me and teach me a lesson by answering these questions. These are not trick questions. I think these are fair questions, questioning your belief in an invisible entity, but I don't think you want to engage in this type of conversation. It seems to me that this is what happens when you accept the teachings of a doctrine that teaches about invisible beings. You're going to have a hard time in trying to engage in these types of conversations. If it's a feelings conversation, yes. So anybody that find value in these questions, you're more than welcome. If you want, if you find value in this type of questioning people's beliefs in invisible beings, you can subscribe to the channel. If you want to, you can thumbs up, and you can share this information to other people. Send it to, I don't know, anybody that you think that they're faking their belief in an invisible being. Thank you so much for the hearts. The hearts make me very happy. Thank you. If I don't play Javier, I have never seen Love or Justice either. Yeah, me neither. What does it have to do with the questions I'm asking? Spider-Man, I feel like I'm in a circus show. Spider-Man, you act like a clown in a circus. What are you talking about? Imagine yourself believing an invisible entity that is up there watching you. Watching you doing what you're doing. Especially when you're naked. Julia, you're welcome. Thank you for attempting to answer these questions. I don't know if you're a believer or not. Oh, Mr. Skeptic Philosophy, when you ask anyone, could you be wrong, and they say no to this question, I just can't respect them. I agree. Skeptic Philosophy, these questions, in my point of view, are not trick questions. These questions are digging into a believer in an invisible being. We're digging a little bit about why and how they end up believing in an invisible being. And because people probably after their third questions notice where this thing was going, they're like, man, I don't want any part of it. I don't want to be any part of it. I'm not going to be able to answer these questions. I'm going to be exposed as using a God for my own emotional benefit. Diva, don't play, Javier. Why are you only reading half of my comments? Because, Diva, I'm asking questions and you want to take control of the conversation, align it with your belief in the invisible being that you believe is real. And then you want to frame this conversation so it's easily for you to answer some of your questions. But I'm asking questions. How about you attempt to answer question number 1? It's on the screen. Diva, I believe in invisible things. I believe in the fairy tale. I believe in the flying spaghetti monster. What does it have to do with you not answering question number one? You're very sneaky at this. You're very sneaky. You are very, very used to doing these things. But you're not fooling me, Diva. Answer question number one. Enough with your manipulation. You have learned bad things from the invisible being that you believe is real. Not good, not good, not good. Chuck McNorris, I like this question game. Thank you, Chuck McNorris. It's not really a game. These are real questions. By asking these questions, I'm giving opportunity for someone to make me shut up by providing real answers to my questions. At least, I don't know, a couple of them. But no. In case you missed the presentation at the beginning, I show you some of the religions that teach you about invisible beings. I gave you the names as the second slide or scene. I show you some of the names of these invisible beings. Some of these religions teach to people that are in need of an invisible being in their life. And on the screen is question number one of 10 questions that I asked during my initial presentation. So if you missed that presentation, you can just throw your answer in the chat, making sure that you include my username in your question so I can see it very clearly. I'm sorry, in your answer. Green line 44, he's only sneaky when he's awake. So it's not like it's all the time, right? I can find they could be muting live. The can. And that's a complicated username. I call you Pi. Pi, how can something invisible but you can see it? If you can see it, it's no longer invisible. All right. Diva, don't play. Javier, I was probably a young child, 4 or 5 or 6, when my mom took us to church, that I can remember. Thank you, Diva, for answering that first question. Because I can see your username very distinctively from others, and using my name, I can see your question. For anybody else, try to use my username and your answer or your question. So my second question of the presentation was this: who introduced you to this name or the information about this invisible being? In the case of Diva, it was his mom, just like the other people that started answering these questions at the beginning and then stop after like the third question. Doug McNorris, Clearwaters. Number one, my first memory of God is the story of Abraham. nearly sacrificing his own son. I think is I think I first heard this at school, but don't remember for certain. Wow, that's a scary story. Judea, we have an infobot in chat. Is that a joke or real? Judea Clearwaters needs to hand out some wrenches. Not to me though. TXTAP Clearwaters, the wind is invisible. You cannot see the wind, but you can see the effects of the wind, such as God. TXTAP, that has nothing to do with my question. Zero. Nada. Try to answer the questions TXTAP. I asked the first one, how old were you when you were introduced to the information of the God or entity you believe is real? And the second question is, who introduced you to this name or information about the invisible being you think is real or believe is real? Maybe try to attempt to answer some of these questions. Branches moderators. I don't know. I think, people get excited on everything, but I don't see anybody doing like personal attacks. I have only blocked one person in all the time that have this channel. Hey, Robert.
Hey.
Hold on. Let me jump to question number 3 for people that are joining now. In case they want to answer the questions, Diva is answering question number 1 and question number 2. Let's go with question number 3. If the name or information was not provided to you by a person, who else were you provided with the name of the invisible being you believe is real? Maybe it was a friend, church, someone else, that it was not family. If I don't play Javier, my mom tells me that 2 + 2 = 4. It's impossible that my mom can give me real truth. All right, I'm just looking for answers to my questions, and then we can engage in whatever information you want to tell me about how you see and explain to yourself the reality of the invisible being that you think that is real. Hey, Robert, you want to say something?
No, I've seen this argument that comes up a lot, like comparing it to invisible things like wind. We've discussed this before. There's a P and not P factor here. Like you can have a distinction of the wind versus not the wind. Whereas you still have this problem with the God thing. You can't say, well, let's just go to this place where there's God isn't, so that we can see the distinction between like God is opposed to God isn't. Like, and they'll tell you, well, there's no that. So then there's no P not P. There's no distinction of if the light switch is on, then X has happened. If the light switch is off, then Y is happening, right? Whereas like wind, electricity, and everything that they're ever going to call invisible will have these distinctions, but somehow God doesn't.
Judea atheists understand and practice morality and ethics. By the way, Chuck McNorris, Clearwaters, your line of questions are the very same the Pariah people ask when they first encounter Christians. So I'm gonna go with question number 4. Maybe Diva, if you want to answer that question. Did the name and or information about the invisible entity or being start to have a value to you at the same time or later in life? When you were provided the information about the invisible being that you believe is real, Did the information about this being started to make sense to you immediately or maybe later in life? Because some of you were introduced to this information when you were very young, like, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, but you didn't start finding value in this information until you were like, I don't know, in your 20s or 30s or 40s. I don't play. If you want to answer question number 4. In your case, Robert, when you were first introduced to the information about God, start to find value in the information immediately or later in life?
It was a little later. I think I probably, probably as young as Diva, like 5, 6, 7. Like the concept, it was introduced to me kind of in the same way as like I totally heard of the boogeyman and held at that time that the boogeyman was true. And okay, there's this God character too, but I didn't really think anything about it except that I just kind of thought it was true, kind of like Santa Claus. Like I thought it was true, but that's about the extent of it.
It didn't connect with your feelings until later in life.
Yeah. Yeah. I got in it and decided, that there's value in this thing and that God has certain ways that he wants me to live. Like people begin to introduce the Bible to me and kind of did these kind of things. Look how well I live, and I've been able to stop this and do that. And like you could do these things too if you like just follow Jesus. And these are, things that I begin to value these things and say, okay, well, I want to do that. And yeah, so I committed more to, oh, well, God wants me to do that. That'll get my life straight. That'll get everything together if I do what God wants. And then started doing so.
Hmm. I noticed that also Diva, as a believer in an invisible being, stop answering questions at question number 3, like the other God believers. I know you're asking me questions, Diva, but if you don't mind answering question number 4. Phantom X, the smell of pizza is completely invisible. So what? Jamara, welcome to the live stream. Find God on your own. Talk to him from your heart. Your ears are closed, sir. This guy is trying to tell you, but you don't listen. Find your own primary source. Jamara, how about attempting to answering some of these questions that many people around this world probably asking themselves or asking other people that believes in invisible beings? This is an opportunity that I don't know what I'm thinking about, giving a chance for anybody that believes in a God or an entity to, in a way, prove me wrong. But no attempts or to explain it to me by answering some of my questions, which I don't see them as trick questions. Spider-Man Javier, don't say anything to Robert when he don't answer the question and goes off on a tangent.
A tangent. Oh, I mentioned the boogeyman that rubbed him wrong. I saw that earlier.
Green line, the smell of pizza saved me from hell. Clearwaters believes in invisible beings. Let's say that I do. What does it have to do with the questions? That I'm asking believers. I'm not asking the question to myself.
But by the way, I did completely answer the question. The question was, did it start at the same time or later? And I said that it happened later.
Yes, you did answer the question. If I don't play Javier from an atheistic worldview, everything is only I'm asking questions. You're not answering questions. So you're very sneaky at this. Very sneaky. You have been doing this for a long time. I'm asking you questions and you want to manipulate the conversation, maybe make it align with the entity, with the belief in the entity, invisible being that you believe is real. But the question is quite clear. Did the name or the information about the invisible being you now believe is real started to have value to you at the moment when you received the information or later in life? How about Diva? You answer some of these questions, or Jamara, how about you attempting to answer these questions? What is wrong with answering questions? Probably this is offending for you for someone attempting to ask questions. What? Yes, there are millions, billions of people like myself asking these types of questions about your beliefs in an invisible entity. NFL music, I already proved Jesus is real. You have proved absolutely nothing. Nada. Not even 0.1% of anything that relates to an invisible entity, which I enlisted Jesus of one of these invisible beings being taught by Christianity, right along the same tracks or ways from Voodoo, Santeria, and other religions. I find it interesting that believers in the chat stop answering questions at the third question. Number 4, they're like, I don't want anything to do with these questions. So one thing very, very common between believers in invisible beings, not able to answer questions about your beliefs. Real Indiana Cones brew. I cannot keep up with all the dumb comments. So I know that believers in God will tell me God is real, Jesus is real. I'm being more transparent in my thought, letting them out and telling you you're just lying. You're being lying to yourself for so long that you're not able to tell that you're lying to yourself about these invisible beings. You are very okay about lying to yourself and other people about the invisible being you think is real. But more and more people are seeing and understanding your lies about your beliefs, about these invisible entities that are watching you and protecting you.
I came in a little late. Did you wind up going over all the questions originally and then during the recap, or what?
The questions were part of the presentation, and then like I normally do, I cycle through the scenes. You want to answer this question?
Oh, I don't see it on the board yet. My time's delayed.
Did the name and or the information about the invisible entity start to have value at the moment? I think you answered this question already.
Yeah, I did that one.
I forgot to flip to the second one, to the number 5. Number 5, when the name and or information about the invisible being started to have value to you, what was going on around you? Were there feelings involved?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it started having value to me because I was not content with my status or state of mind. So I wanted a change in that state of mind, and it looked like this thing on offer was good. It looked like it would change my state of mind.
Hmm.
I mean, why wouldn't it? Like if you are condemned under this idea, and then like, oh, you could be not condemned though. Oh no, that sounds great. I want to be not condemned. I want to be forgiven.
Hmm. Were you like at church at this time? Going to church
Well,
yourself?
I was already going to church whenever I was going to a Baptist church when I was real young, like 13 or something. I kind of started getting into this. And then I seen a Heaven's Gates Hell's Flame play. They really play on this fear and then hope, kind of, you're all gonna burn in hell. It's so sad. But listen, Jesus can save you from that and fix everything in your life. And there's all like these carrot and stick, like the whole way of the play.
All right, because I know none of the believers on the live stream are gonna attempt to answer these questions. I'll flip through the question number 6, which is, what about the information that was provided to you about the invisible entity you believe is real convince you that the invisible entity was real? Was it something you experienced through your 5 senses? See the entity, hear it, touch it, smell it, taste it, or was it a feeling?
For me, it was
yes.
clear. It was a feeling. Yeah.
So nothing through your 5 senses, but a feeling.
Just a feeling.
Yeah, same with me.
I mean, I would say that at different times and in different religions and at different states, different intensities of feelings, with one of them being an unbelievable intensity of feeling, and but still a feeling.
Hmm. Feeling says tech and fun. Me too. I don't remember ever seeing, smelling, touching, hearing anything when I used to believe in an invisible being. It was just a feeling. Chuck McNorris, Clearwater's, the answer for number 6, fear and coping the respect shown to the God by adults. Fear and copying the respect shown by gods by adults. All right. Okay.
The first part of the question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, is real convince you that the invisible entity was real.
Diva, don't play Javier. I just always believe deep down that Jesus Christ was the truth. Yeah, that doesn't answer the question, Diva. So let's go with question number 7. How are you able to determine that the invisible being you believe is real is actually real, while the invisible beings that other people believe are real are not? How are you able to determine? I'm going to ask you, Robert, how do you think?
You can't. It's not possible. It's just like all you can do here is just like give a. I'm super convinced. It's just a sentiment. No, I'm positive. It's just this sentiment of confidence that you project is really all you can do. Like, but my feeling's better than their feelings. Like, my feeling is like I really felt it. Like they didn't feel it the way I felt it. That's basically all you can do, really. You have to discard their feelings and amplify your feelings in the narrative. That's about it.
I don't remember if it was you, Robert, or maybe Phantom or someone else. I said one time that in my point of view, it's very hard for a person to believe in a God or an invisible entity or being and also be honest at the same time. I think that us having believers right now, the live stream, and myself, asking this question, all believers ignore it for completely and choose to say things like you are confused or but not even to attempt to answer the questions because they know the answer is problematic. That's
Yeah,
what I'm referring to. People believing in invisible entities is very hard, extremely hard, to be honest at the same time, and believe in a God.
yeah, it what they're not wanting to say, and I understand why, it's they're not trying to define a method of conclusion, like a method that you can use that would come to this conclusion necessarily and not to that conclusion, right? Like if those other people in another religion say they feel a thing, like what method do you use that says my feeling is valid and represents an actual thing, but their feeling isn't valid and doesn't represent an actual thing? And there's not a way to put forward a method because we're just talking about like feelings. So how do you methodologically distinguish X from what? Like you can't. It's not possible.
If you notice, Diva chose to answer question number 7, but then avoided to answer some of the previous questions.
Oh, what was this answer? I'm curious.
It says, Javier, that's easy. When I personally received the Holy Spirit exactly on January 1st, 2021, Jesus Christ promises to reveal himself totally undeniably. Apparently, this is how he determined that the invisible being that he believes is real is real.
Right, but it still didn't really answer the question because how other people is not real. Like many of those people will say, you know, that they spoke with Vishnu or that they felt the presence of Vishnu. So, like, those sensations to them are, whether you believe it or not, as genuine and as real as the sensation that you had. And they would testify to that, and it changed their life. So, how do you tacitly like hand wave that away? And is there a method by which you use as a standard? I would guess no. The method is, but mine's real.
I think it's very sneaky, man, that you would take some of these questions, decide to answer some of the questions, some other questions don't answer, or just answer part of a question because answering the other part of one of the questions is problematic. Very sneaky.
Did you have Out of Babylon muted on the thing, or was he just not
No,
talking?
no, no, no,
Or
no. He
oh,
was
okay.
participating at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
I invited like 3 believers to answer questions on the Discord, be part of the presentation, and only Out of Babylon attempted to answer, but he, he tried to went on and on. I'm like, no, 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 we're not
Oh,
going through
okay,
that again.
gotcha.
So, hey, Phantom.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good, good. We're gonna ask question number 8. Have you ever asked the person who provided you with the information about the invisible being you believe is real how he or she concluded that the invisible entity you both believe is real is actually real?
If anyone says yes to this question, that they've went back and asked the person, I will seriously question whether they're telling the truth. Because I don't think anybody goes back and asks the person once they've established in their belief system that it's real. They don't go back and say, "But wait, where did this come from?" Like I don't see that happening.
Clear Waters, hold on. Clear Waters cannot answer number 7. I'm atheist. And comment. The god spirits of Ireland were written into mythology in diminished positions in the book Taking of Ireland, a pseudo-Christian history. Go ahead, Phantom.
Oh, I was just going to say, I never asked my parents because they're the ones who convinced me or
Yeah.
taught me. I never asked them how they came to it. Although recently I did find out how my dad came to it, and so yeah, we were talking, and turns out he had he needed something to have faith in, and it wasn't he couldn't have faith in his friends and couldn't have faith in something else, and reasoned that he could have faith in God.
Well, I'll be honest. Like my dad, kind of, he he backed the ideal of people being Christian, but when he was asked to go to church and stuff, he said, "No, no, no, I'm good." But he was dare I say, probably the most intelligent and book read individual that I have ever met personally in my life. And whenever I came away from this, I found it hard to believe that he believed it. And I started pushing my dad on this subject. And he was of the opinion, it doesn't matter if I believe it. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, Christianity just is better than the other options. And I'm like, wait, Dad, you're just saying this as a moral structure for a nation or for a group. Like, I'm asking you, do you believe that Jesus was resurrected? And he totally blows it off, and he's like, who cares? Like, why does that matter? And like, he would not address that because he couldn't believe that to be the case, but he thought like Muslims that they're more problematic than Christians, so that like he backed Team Christian even though he didn't believe these things particularly happened. It was super weird.
McNorris, Clearwaters, number 8. Yes, we asked this question a lot and got vague answers. No answers. Kids with strict parents never got to ask this out loud.
Did y'all see Diva's comment to me? Bring me a Vishnu, Zeus, Odin, true believer. Like, most of those gods aren't believed anymore. Vishnu is still highly believed. They're extraordinarily abundant. It's very easy for you to find one online. I'm not sure that it's very easy for you to find one online that speaks good English. That's going to be some hit or miss. But yeah, people who believe in Vishnu are tremendously large numbers.
Phil Silver runs into them
all the time. Yeah, they come in his channel. Yep.
Not as often as Muslims. But certainly,
yeah.
He does run into
Yep,
Hindus,
I've heard
probably.
him on
Yeah.
All right, let's go to question number 9. Out of these 10 questions. Question number 9, do you have primary source evidence of the invisible being you believe is real that does not depend on your feelings, interpretations, or the information provided by other people? I don't know if my question at the end, if it was not an attempt to be a trick question, I don't know if that question is valid.
So one thing I have a question: what is primary source evidence?
Mm-hmm.
Like not getting your sources from testimonies from other people.
Yeah, that would eliminate like everything in every religion just about. That's, yeah, I mean, if you count like documents as your source, whether they're the source, like they're your source of believing the thing or your source that you say constitutes evidence, that might, I don't know. I don't mean to be hanging up on words here, but like some people could say that their source document is like the Bible and that they believe that that's evidence. Obviously, I don't think it constitutes or meets the criteria of evidence that court systems use, but I think they could still make a case for it being evidence in some sense.
Yeah, but that would fall into information provided by other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Someone tells you that there's a God up there, same information that is provided in the Bible. So that would be considered information provided by other people. So if you don't have direct information from the invisible being, that's what I'm trying to ask. And I use the word primary source evidence as you getting that information directly from the visible entity.
Right. No, I understand what you mean. I would, in that, there's no such thing as in any religion for that. I don't know why Diva's still pushing this, like, get them in here. Like, I don't have friends that are in that circle that I could call up and be like, hey, come do that. I don't have Christian friends that I could do the same for you, that I could call a Christian friend to come in here and testify. Like, I just don't, that's not my friend group, so to speak. But you can easily Google this, Diva, and find out that recent surveys on the subject has 399 million people worldwide that believe in Vishnu. So it's not a small number.
If you notice, when Diva answered question, I think it was question number 7 or 6, I don't remember. He says that one is easy. So the ones that he's not answering, those are difficult ones. Because he's not attempting to ask any other questions. Go ahead.
So Diva's wanting to
Phantom,
you to
sorry.
produce the person. Diva's wanting you to produce the person so he can see if they had the exact experience that he had. That's not how experiences work.
Yeah, it's really weird.
And
Like,
also,
find a religion that has the same. Like, you talk to Christians every day, and they talk about their experience, and theirs isn't exactly the same as yours. So I don't know what you're looking for there.
All right. So let's go with question number 10.
Diva, sorry, but Diva, Robert cannot produce another person. He's talked to them. He's watched other people talk to them. But you're saying, you go bring this person to me. Diva, if you want to find these people, I can tell you how to find them. Message me on Discord. I'll show you where.
Yeah, or do the free for all. But it's true that I can't produce another human being. But my wife's done it 3 times.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I forgot, before I forget again, Robert, I created another voice channel.
Oh, good.
It's called Clearwater's Lobby. I'm not sure if I set it up correctly. It shouldn't have any restrictions.
Yeah, as long as you didn't limit it for everyone,
No.
they should be able to access it.
All right, so question number 10. Okay, question number 10. Do you think some people believe in invisible beings that do not actually exist? If so, how would you convince them that the being they believe exists does not actually exist without offering them information about the invisible being you believe is real? Eva. Because you want to go find another person and tell them about your God? No.
It's so weird that this is happening. Like, you can Google like documents and see the individual testimony of the individual people literally talk about their experience seeing Vishnu. I just on a quick Google search, the Vishnu Purana, one of the earliest documents of where they saw and experienced Vishnu, Puranic literature, let's see, Avar hymns, temples, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this religion too much, but you're easily able to find this literature online and read, or you can go to a Philosopher's channel and listen to the people come in that talk about Vishnu and talk about they know it because they felt it. You know, I don't think they use that as much as the Christians do. Oh, I felt it. But I think they still do, and they feel some quite calm thing that they associate to their God.
So in case someone missed it, I'm going to repeat that question number 10. Do you think some people believe in invisible beings that do not actually exist? If so, how would you convince them that the being they believe exists does not actually exist without offering them information about the invisible being you believe is real?
So I think you're going to have a problem here, Javier, because I think a lot of Christians, I was certainly raised this way, we believed that the gods of other religions were true and that they were real beings, but that they weren't gods, that they were demons. And so like, I would say a lot of Christians, especially of my flavor, would just say, yeah, I believe that those people, they believe in things that are real.
Yeah,
That's
some religions will do that.
That's why I use the word some. Do you think some people believe in invisible beings that do not actually exist? It doesn't mean that everybody else that doesn't
Yeah.
believe in
Right.
your
Right.
visible being.
And like what I'm saying is, like, if you were, when I was being raised, if you were to ask us, you know, hey, here's this invisible thing, do you think that's real? I would say, yeah, it's a demon. Like every time. I would not have had said any invisible, spiritual, spooky, supernatural thing was not real.
Yeah. I also grabbed that way of asking that question because I noticed that believers in the live stream say that other gods from other religions are not real.
Yeah, it's why a lot of this, like, I was almost tempted to get into what's the Dionysus text, not the play, but the writing of written story of the Dionysus character, where they talk about feeling the spirit of Dionysus come into them and strengthen them. Like in this story, you get into something like that, and then you show a clear case where people said that they testified that not only they felt that God, but they felt stronger because the spirit of God come in there. Then as soon as you finally do demonstrate this to somebody, they just hand wave it away with, well, that was a demon. So like it's all for nothing to demonstrate that people make these claims of sensation, that they feel things, or you could show text where someone died for their religion, that they wouldn't let it go or they wouldn't convert because they fully believed it. Oh well, they just believed a lie, a demon deceived them. It's just a hand waving away that people actually believed things and you don't think they were right.
TXDAB writes, for by thy words thou shalt be justified. TXDAB, that doesn't answer the question. And just if anybody missed, some of the religions that teach about the existence of some invisible beings, some of these religions are Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Taoism, Christianity, Voodoo, Santeria, Spiritism, and many other religions and spiritual traditions. So your religion is not the only one that is coming up, presenting or teaching about the existence of an invisible being. And also, in case you missed it, some of these invisible beings are God, gods, angels, demons, Satan, the Holy Spirit, Allah, spirits, souls, Olodumare, Orichas, Bondie, Bodhisattvas, Jesus, and many more. Many, many, many more. Oh man, I think probably one or two believers are like, what? I never heard of those invisible beings before. Judea is asking, why does your God play hide and seek? I wonder why.
You know why.
TXDAB writes, for we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ. TXDAB, that doesn't answer the questions. They're just preaching. When the questions get tough, start preaching.
It's all kind of just an assertion, like, I have confidence in this, right? It's just like you're giving your confidence marker, right? You're planting it in the ground and saying, like, this thing is totally true. Like, what's the reasons that brought you to that conclusion? That's not even necessary to talk about, right? It's just, well, yeah, you're going to be judged. Okay.
Hugo Vaz, God doesn't play hide and seek. Seek and you shall find. Oh, that sounded so nice. Like a rhyme. Personally makes no sense.
Yes, it's just like Diva's doing this. There's plenty of Hindus that could share their experience on here. Like, not only does Christianity outnumber Hindus by a pretty decent margin, but primarily the English speaker Hindus compared to the English speaking Christians are vastly outnumbered. So while we do have Hindus that some that can speak English, like not as much as Christians that can speak English. So this is the filter. If you're thinking of things that like just like the great filters, like this is the filter, not that they don't exist. Like I don't know how you conclude they don't exist rather than okay, it makes more sense that a lot of them don't speak English.
Well, Robert, that's because like everyone knows God speaks English, and so if they're not speaking English, they're not worth listening to anyway.
Yeah, they also don't have in their core doctrine proselytizing, so they don't like you have a motivation to come to these things and try to proselytize and save people's souls. And like even if they knew about this channel and spoke English, like they don't have that in their narrative that they need to save someone. So that you have an English language that is related more to Christian people. You have the group doesn't have a proselytizing, internal structure, and on and on. It's the same reason a Jew never comes knocks on your door to tell you about Judaism. They don't need you. That's not a part of their thing. They don't want to proselytize it.
Hugo Vaz writes, makes no sense. Seek and you will find. God isn't going to come to you without diligence. Hugo Vaz, how is your seeking God going? Have you found him yet? And that God speaks all languages, let's be real, that's a lie, Hugo. That's a humongous lie. Why would you lie like that openly in public? If it's not a lie, then provide the information that will make me be wrong about telling you that you're lying.
Yeah, I agree with Spider-Man. Atheists are vastly outnumbered. I mean, so are scientists. They're vastly outnumbered. That doesn't mean you know something that they don't.
Diva don't play. That doesn't answer any of the questions that I ask. Just stuff that you repeat over and over again. Maybe to make yourself feel better about your belief, the invisible being that you believe is real. Hugo Vaz, I found God after much seeking. Yeah, that's another lie, Hugo. Why would you say all these lies? God knows everything, therefore he speaks all languages. That's another lie. This is what happened, Hugo, when you get involved with one of these invisible beings. Hugo Vaz writes, it seems as if you're not open-minded. Having your beliefs destroyed will make you hate us believers, so you will not change. No, Hugo Vaz is not that I don't have an open mind. I'm just being honest and transparent. And your God doesn't fit in that figure. You cannot be, in my point of view, an honest, transparent person with decency and also at the same time believe in an invisible entity. And proof of that is that you're lying right now. These are humongous lies.
Something got pointed out a moment ago. It says that Jesus was a real historical person and these people weren't. Um, you should read more on the subject. I mean, I'm sorry to say, you should just study more on the subject. Many of these characters that have become icons may have been based off of real people, in the same way that Jesus was likely loosely based off of real people. People tend to think that Jesus was like a super unique name to start with, because they think that the angel came to Mary or Joseph, depending on what book you're reading, and gave this name. But that name was so popular in that time that that name Jesus was as popular as the name Josh is today. Like, it was that common. Even in the War of the Jews and the Antiquities of the Jews from Josephus, he mentions like 8 other Jesuses in that time. So there was a lot of people named Jesus back then. It was a super common name.
Jesus is a very common name here in Panama.
Yeah, but
Extremely common.
even back then, like, this would be like Josh is the Messiah, right? Oh, compared to the other Joshes, right? Like, this is just like an angel showed up and said, "Call him Josh." Like, what are you talking about? Like, this was just a super common name. And the reason that I mentioned that, if you read Josephus's War of the Jews, you'll see that he mentions a bunch of Jesus people, specifically that they're a part of a rebellion, or that they take strong positions, like, oh, the temple's going to come down, or this, that, and the other. But like Jesus Ben and Ananias, for example, but they have all these like rebel characters that are either a priest or something else, and their name is Jesus. But he generally does Jesus, Ben, and whatever their father's name is, he associates them to. So, but there were a lot of characters that were named Jesus, and they were a part of a rebel thing. And it's possible that like Jesus is just an extract of these different people. We have no firsthand account, period, of anyone who said they saw Jesus. Like the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, these are later, like, these are not people who saw him.
Robin Webster writes, I've been hearing good stuff about this channel. Thank you very much, Robin Webster.
Hey, Robin, what's up? I know Robin. We've talked several times. She's fixing to be on my channel for a show shortly. I don't think we have a date hashed out yet, but
oh, Robin, yeah, I remember seeing her on the live stream that you did on Sunday.
Yeah.
Robin's good people.
Thank you, Robin, for taking off your time to be here. Thank you so much. Robert, you were saying about the next live stream?
Well, this Sunday is fixed to be an open chat. Anyone and everyone can come up. No one's booked or planned. I did try to do that for the first Sunday of every month. It didn't land on the first Sunday this beginning of this month. It landed on the second Sunday. But yeah, it'll be a completely open chat. Anybody can come in and talk. Nobody's scheduled. But then after that, Kurt's scheduled on the next one, and I think we'll have Robin scheduled after that.
Hugo Vaz writes, let me tell you something. I used to be an atheist until I found God. I was just like you. Hugo Vaz, you were probably an honest human being trying to live life, and then you got involved with one of these invisible entities, and now you're lying. I don't know. Hopefully you go back to being yourself and be an honest person, and don't get involved with this, in my opinion, witchcraft about invisible entities, sacrifices, demons, spirits. Not good for you, my friend.
The problem was Panel. His real name was not Jesus. Well, Yeshua, Jesus, however you want to cash it out. I think the Jews would primarily use the name Yeshua, but I think the Arabic, which was likely used if he was a real person out of the Galilee region, it was similar to that pronunciation, but wasn't exactly the same. But I mean, even you have transitions when it goes to the Latin, but the Greek will use it as a Jesus. I think the Hebrew primarily is Yeshua, but it doesn't seem to matter. I only responded that to Spider-Man.
Govas, what do I gain from lying? Govas, by saying these things and repeating these things that you learn to say from someone else, you are able somehow to make yourself feel good. About lying. Sounds to me very horrible. This is what you get, again, from believing an invisible being. It's problematic for humanity. I think it's better to accept that there are things that we do not understand in this life, instead of explaining everything with an invisible entity. How do we got here? God. Where are we going after we die? God. How did this work? God.
Oh, Diva's run out of his script again. Robert, on Judgment Day, you'll meet Jesus.
It's about this time he will say something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just like your opinion, man.
Hugo Vaz, just because you don't understand or see God doesn't mean others don't. Hugo Vaz, that I don't understand much about life doesn't mean I'm gonna lie to myself and other people about some invisible being. I'm not willing to do that. I'm not gonna sell my conscience to one of these currently available gods just to get a cheap good feeling. Yourself.
I'm not sure what Spider-Man's point was with that we called him something different. And by that I mean the Hebrew name Yeshua was in these texts. Obviously Josephus didn't write War or Antiquity to the Jews, for example, in English. He wrote it in Hebrew. So there would have he would have called these people Yeshua ben Satiri and the different names. I can pull a quick list of all the Jesuses, but I ran just through two different AIs to see if they could calculate about how popular the name was, and it said as high in some regions as high as 3.2% could have had the name. Like, it was that popular of a name. I was wrong in saying as popular as Josh. It might have been as popular as Joe.
Spider-Man, believers, he calls anyone who believes in God a liar. The Waters, Robert, and Phantom are all. Spider-Man, I call people that lie a lie. I don't like or enjoy calling people something that they're not. It's just that you were brainwashed, persuaded to believe in one of these currently available invisible entities, and you're just deciding to lie temporarily until you realize that you're involved in some type of cult. Once you realize that, and you go back to being yourself. So, I'm not calling anybody a liar. If you lie, I recognize your lie. But you yourself, probably you're a good person, acting in weird ways, courtesy of the currently invisible entity that you believe is real. It's not good for you. It's not good for humanity. Go ahead, Robert.
I just briefly wanted to give kind of a comparison so y'all would understand what was going on, and that the people that Josephus was mentioning in these texts were specifically people that were a part of a rebellion. So Jesus Ananias, which was mentioned in this, he was an apocalyptic prophet who just kept shouting the woe to Jerusalem. Jesus of Sapphias, also referred to as a Galilean rebel leader. Jesus, son of Gamaliel, which was a high priest. and was in some rebellion at the time, as it was defined by Josephus. Jesus, son of Damonus, briefly made high priest. We didn't hear a lot about him. Jesus, son of Gamaliel, another high priest. Jesus, son of Pathabat. These are all during the time, like they could have been alive in 60, 70, and right before 60 and 70. So there were like a lot of Jesuses. They were super popular. So when you start a legend with, hey, there's this guy named Joe, and we call him Joe the Christ, right? Then it's very easy to have all of these different characters and what they've done conflated with Jesus the Christ. So these might be the Jesus the Christ might be just an amalgamation, and people like Jesus Sapphirus, which is known as Jesus the Galilean, which was a leader of a revolutionary movement, depicted by Josephus. This person might have had a big influence on the story that kind of created Jesus.
Spider-Man writes, that's okay, Clearwaters. That's your opinion. We think you are a fool. Spider-Man, I don't know how old are you. Probably maybe 15 years old, underage. Maybe when you grow up, you're one of the reasons I tell people try to avoid using profanity, because maybe there are kids like you in the live stream. But I want to tell you something that, I don't know, it's a recommendation only that you remember your entire life. Human beings tend to see in other people what they are not able to see in themselves, or don't want to see in themselves. They see it in other people. That's why I don't call anybody something, because I'm looking at myself in other people.
Hey Diva, in your scenario, how did you know, air quotes, that the brakes were cut? Did you feel it? Because if you just felt it, yeah, we're not interested. We would disregard that warning also.
Well,
Like if you called me and be like, I felt it, don't drive your car, your brakes are cut, I felt it. Okay, yeah, no, we wouldn't listen.
The other thing is, he says, oh, so of course not, I just saw they were cut. But if you saw they were cut, then we can look and investigate and see, oh yeah, the brakes are cut or not.
Exactly.
Like,
but if you were like, I saw it, but only I can see it, and you have to want to believe it to be able to see it, then I'd be like, what are you smoking, Joe?
No, Spider-Man writes, Clearwater's fool is profanity. No, Spider-Man, no. I say probably you're a kid, and because sometimes there are kids on the live streams, I recommend people to try to avoid using profanity. I'm not saying that you're using profanity. What you're seeing is yourself on other people.
Well, I'll give you a slight critique on that. Like, it's not profanity by our today's standard, but like when the terminology of cursing was developed in the Greek culture, like calling people a fool, 100%, that met the definition. So when you use a word that is directed at somebody as a derogatory statement, like whether you call them a pig or you call them this, that, or the other, I believe the Greek word for fool was moros. It was a word that was meant to represent someone who was ignorant or didn't know something. But this is why Jesus was kind of critiqued in the story, like whether it's okay to call someone this, because it's not like calling someone a pig or a dog or something that they're not. Jesus fully outright said to call no man a fool. Like, so this was still a part of like cursing or insulting somebody. This fit that criteria. So I think in that time, yeah, that would have definitely been considered cursing. When we use a word now that you think is a profane word, but we're not aiming it at anyone, that's a modern ideal of what cursing is. That's not what that concept at the time was.
Hugo Vaz writes, you come from a close-minded point. Be humble and open if something changes. Hugo Vaz, you're the person that sealed your mind with an invisible entity. And you're calling me close-minded because I'm asking questions?
Is this person on the vertical?
Yes, on the vertical.
Mm.
Hugo Vaz also writes, I could say your belief system is a lie, but I know better. Could say you were brainwashed into believing God doesn't exist. So can you go back in time in this live stream and point to the section that I say that God doesn't exist? You're gonna continue lie like this, my friend? I'm telling you, this beliefs in invisible entities is not good for you. Probably you're a good person acting in weird ways because of your belief, not because of who you are.
Yeah, I agree, Diva. Our minds don't create reality, but for us to know that a thing epistemically is reality, we have to have ways and methods of validating that, not just saying like, no, that thing is. So this is what Bertrand Russell's teapot was about to start with. When Bertrand Russell made the claim, like there is a teapot out there floating somewhere, I think he used between Saturn and the Earth, like that thing, it just is there. Like, is he wrong in saying that? Well, he's only wrong in that he can't justify that position that that teapot exists. Could you disprove it? 100% you cannot disprove that that teapot's there. But it's not really your onus to disprove it. He made the proclamation in the affirmative that the thing exists. So he would need to show that that thing exists. Otherwise, there's not a good reason for anyone to accept it. I don't understand why people don't get this epistemic kind of problem.
They never. That's not what their epistemology is, Robert. So they don't understand why yours and mine are different. But I have a question for you about that. So when we do find Russell's teapot, in like 300 years, are you going to start believing in God at that point?
No, I mean, why that would prove Bertrand Russell's teapot was true, right? It wouldn't prove anything else. But I'll say this: it depends on the version, because I think he said it two different times, and I think one time was like between Earth and Saturn, and I think he did it once in a book and once on a video review. Like, I know that it's crazy to think Bertrand Russell was on video, though he was on black and whites. But if you're talking about the one he said in between the Earth and the Sun. Like I feel like there's a way to calculate whether a gravitational force would have pulled that in by now over this period of time. If that makes sense. So
wouldn't it depend on how fast it's orbiting the sun?
Yeah, it would depend on if it's got some kind of orbital line. Yeah, a lot of things would depend. Yeah.
Hey, guys, I just wanted to point out that Diva is doing the Ray Comfort script to Robin Webster.
Oh, is he?
She's not going to stand for that crap.
How many times have you lied in your entire life?
This is pure Ray Comfort script.
Yeah. Semantical ladder. Let's walk this way. Eat this carrot, then this carrot, then this carrot. Now I've got you to the pile.
He's asked the second question. She didn't even give an answer for the first. He can't help himself.
Diva, you're listening and watching way too much Ray Comfort. People can see.
I'll answer all
right
your
away.
questions. Play the semantic game with me. I want to play. I don't know. A lot of times I lied. Don't really have a count. Let's see. Next one. Have you ever stole anything regardless of its value? Yeah, I took a pen and realized that I had took the pen and I thought it was too much effort to take the pen back. So I just throwed it on the desk. Next question. How many times have you cursed during your entire life?
What?
Very few. I don't think our definition in you. Oh, did I skip one?
No, I'm just saying that's not one of the questions.
No,
I don't know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. He says, Diva, how many times have you cursed during your entire life?
Yeah, I know. That's not one of Ray Comfort. Ray Comfort says take the Lord's name in vain. Because the Ten Commandments says take the Lord's name in vain. It doesn't care about cussing.
Yeah. That's true. This is a deviation, man.
Hugo Vaz is asking, so you believe God exists? No, Hugo Vaz. I believe there's a possibility that there's a God out there, but I just really doubt that the God of the Bible is real. Is very easily offended. Is more like a tiny whiny God. This is someone else's representation of a God that I'm not willing to accept. I don't like other people to tell me what God is. If there's a God out there, probably I would like to find out by myself and ask questions and try to explore and discover God. If you want to park yourself in this life and accept someone else's idea of God, that's your prerogative, my friend. Very tiny God from the Bible.
I think what would have been a more honest line of questioning from Diva was, have you done one of these supposed offenses that wasn't towards a person, that it didn't particularly hurt a person? So if you pick one like, did you keep the Sabbath holy or something like that, it wouldn't be towards a person. It would be an offense towards the God. And then the follow-up question would be, did you feel guilty about that? No. No, because it wasn't towards a person. Like, it's just towards a conception. All of these things, like if you steal from someone, like there's something that you've done, there's an offense towards that person. If you cursed someone out, there's an offense towards that person. If you touched your wee, oh no, I offended, who did I offend? Jesus. Yeah, we would not be convicted by that.
Hugo Vaz is asking, what makes you think God is a whiny, tiny God in the Bible? Hugo Vaz, it's very easily, at least in my opinion, to see that the God of the Bible is a ridiculous God that is easily offended and he gets upset and jealous. It sounds very, very much like a human being. Just by asking yourself questions, you can use these questions of this live stream to ask yourself. I used to be a believer. If you don't know that, I used to be a believer for many years, carrying my own Bible and join very other groups, religious groups. He's asking you something there.
It's a silly question. We've done this with the fairies. Like if the fairies had a rule, if the fairies had a rule that you have to gather in this circle every Thursday, and you didn't, but Diva, you didn't gather in the circle every Thursday. Like, if the fairies judged you, would they find you guilty? Yeah, the fairies would judge you and find you guilty of not gathering in the circle every Thursday.
Well, we have one from his own religion. God says there needs to be an atoning sacrifice. And we have Jesus telling us he is the atoning sacrifice, but we don't know that for sure. Like, it could be Diva is really making God angry by not doing the atoning sacrifices.
Could be. Cussed, not cursed. Well, I mean, cussed is not a term that's in the Bible at all. So I cussed. Yeah. I didn't use my blinker. Is there a particular verse for that you're going to condemn me with? Cussed is a modern term. It's not a thing that you have a basis to condemn someone or say there's this verse that says you did this sin. In the same way that you can't find the verse that says, aha, you didn't use your blinker.
What about the verse that says you shall open the door for the woman?
There's no verse like that.
Oh, okay.
Hugo Vaz is asking, why we are made in the image and likeness of God. Jealousy is healthy, normal in human nature and in God. Hugo Vaz, this information that we are made in the image and likeness of God, you didn't get this information from God. You got this from someone else. You learned to say these things, and you're saying them because saying these things align with your belief in this particular entity. You learn to say these things. You didn't get this information from any God. Believing in God has nothing to do with a God. This is about data. you're finding value about this data and taking action on this data that you value. That's it. There's nothing else.
Excuse me. Yeah, I don't. It's so weird. Like I can literally replace
God
God
bless
with
you,
fairy.
Robert.
Yes, yes. Gesundheit. I could really, literally replace every argument that Diva's making with fairy, and it's like exactly as valid. Like, if you are guilty, should Thumbelina reward you with good magic place or bad magic place? Answer that question, Diva. Should Thumbelina reward you with good
Oh.
magic place or bad magic place? Go ahead, Phantom.
I'm going to look up Ephesians 4:29.
Oh, I thought you was going to answer the question. Oh, Thumbelina should reward you with bad magic place. You offended Thumbelina. Like none of this gets you to the thing is real.
Hugo Vaz, I got the information from Prophets of God. Yes, Hugo Vaz. Again, you got this information from this invisible entity from other people. Call the other people whatever you want. You didn't get it from a God. Hey,
All right,
Professor
here-
Hissel, welcome.
All right, here you go, Diva. Ephesians 4:29. I'm reading from the Big Book of Atheisms. Behold, the zealot sealeth the lips, lest doubt be spoken. Yet the free mind counteth no inquiry corrupt, for truth is forged upon the anvil of bold dispute.
Yeah, right. Big book of atheisms, huh?
Yeah.
All hail.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man doesn't care what the
Yeah,
atheist book says.
We don't care what the atheist book says, Phantom. No,
Oh.
Spider-Man, you don't care about anything that talks against your belief in the God.
Hold on a second. They don't care what my book says. Why? Then maybe that should say something about how I should feel about their book.
Mhm.
Something to think about.
This verse says let no corrupt communication proceed from you, but this assumes that like a particular word is corrupt. Not only does it assume that, it assumes that words that didn't even exist at the time that Jesus was talking about those words. So like if I say, dare I say the word shit, that word is like, that's a corrupt word, even though it didn't exist when that was said. But crap, which means the exact same thing, not a corrupt word. That's an okay word. Poo-poo, okay, that's not a bad word. But if it starts with an S and it means literally the exact same thing, bad word. Good words, bad words, determined, all defined by you in a modern era. You're acting as if the text says that this word or that word is good or bad words, and it doesn't.
TXDAP, you all have some strong unbelief. You can say that, TXDAP. Just please let me know when you ever have evidence for a God or one of these invisible beings. Don't be selfish. Don't keep it to yourself. While you're believing, I'm not interested in your belief.
Yeah, Spider-Man's just repeating it. It's what is the cognitive dissonance here? I don't understand. Like, am I speaking English, y'all? This is so crazy. He's repeating, keep all the corrupt words. Like, what makes a word corrupt that didn't even exist? Like, why is the S word that means the same thing as the P word, by that I mean poop, why is one corrupt and the other's not corrupt? And where do you get that from?
Well, remember how he mentioned that God speaks English before?
Oh,
Like he's decided that's corrupt. He just, they forgot to write it down in the last version of the Bible.
Oh, did Jesus show up to you and give you a list of the naughty words? Did Jesus show up and say, don't use these words? And you're like, I'll write them down for me. And like, he wrote them down and you have the list. of the no words. Like, what are you talking about, man? These are just sentiments that we as a culture, as a society, have slowly begun to be uncomfortable with, specifically when our children use these words. It's just all it is. There's no
Robert,
distinction between crap and, you know,
you're giving
I don't use the word.
you're giving an
Right.
education to Spider-Man, and he's smoking right now.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what that is, and he's like, "Whoa, too much information, too much education." Diva, don't play skeptic philosophy. God always knows your intent.
He knows your intent. So, okay. So he knows that sometimes it was easier if I had a cigarette in my mouth, for instance, to say a shit word instead of a crap word. It was just easier phonetically. Oh, well, he knew I meant crap. Like, it's the same thing, right? It's pretty ridiculous. I don't know. The idea that words are evil inherently, it's such a strange thing to me.
Behold, I am God is in the live stream. Spider-Man is asking, is it wholesome and helping for building others up? But that question is in reference to.
That's in reference to a term that Paul used. I'm trying to think how the whole verse reads, but it says, all things are permissible to us, not all things are edifying, not all things build up. The word edifying there from the Greek literally is used for the word to build a house. So we translate it as edify in the KJV and other things, or some might use it like the ESV will say build up. But the ideal is it helping make you a better person or build you up?
Do you think bad arguments fall under that?
Right. I would say, do bad arguments help build you up? That's a fantastic question. I wouldn't think so.
NFL Music writes, we are even living prophecy right now. That also is one of the things that prove God. NFL Music, I put out a short today. Go watch it. Prophecies has nothing to do with a God. Nothing. I don't know where you learned this thing.
Yeah, I mean, if people don't do anything else after the show, go look up what makes a curse word in the Greek time. Like, biblically, what would support something being a curse word? Like, Google it, like dig into it, read like the ideas, read the Talmud on their view of what cursing was, like the Jewish people, early Greek Christians, like what their view on what cursing was. Understand the change. Like, we now think particular words are just intrinsically or inherently bad, and that's just not how it was. So when you use these texts and you use just the super vague text like corrupt, oh, it's corrupt, like you're implying your own version of what you already think is corrupt, and you're saying, oh, it must be talking about that thing that I'm already thinking.
Julia writes, so many charlatans in the world, especially in types of spirituality. Many in Christianity, many in Islam, many in Voodoo, Santeria. The real Indiana Cons brew to NFL. BS alert.
This is a kind of word drift thing. They do this all the time. They did this from probably the 30s until now, maybe a little earlier than that. They started with this eidos word that's translated in the English as modest. Like, not only did modest not have a connotation of like how much skin you show, but now preachers will be like, oh, women, you should dress modest, and they'll use verses that say modest and act like that the word modest meant not revealing or showing yourself. And modest was just, it was a word that meant of humble origins, or of impoverished origins, not braggadocious, right? So if you could live a modest life, it had nothing to do with showing how much skin. But they used these kind of verses. Not only did it not, like, if you read the textual history of the word in the Greek or in the English, that's just not what it meant. But now they take their ideas of you should not show your belly button, and they'll use a verse like, oh, see, don't dress modest, and they've given a new meaning to that word that was nowhere in the original word. And then they say, oh, you see, here I have the text that says it. So when you take a text that says don't speak corruptly, like, you now think that specific words are corrupt, and now you use that to define. It's all just circular logic.
NFL Music writes, prophecy actually does prove God is real because it shows the Bible is real. NFL Music, you learn to repeat these words. These are empty words that means nothing. But
Prophecy.
they make you feel good. You feel good repeating them, like if they mean anything to anyone.
It's so weird, the prophecy thing, to me, because I can come up with a different explanation for how the prophecy came, even if it were true. If it were true and it's being fulfilled, I could come up with a different explanation. You have to presuppose that God can do prophecy, and only God can do prophecy, for it to even be evidence.
Yeah.
In case you have not seen it, there's a video on my channel where I present information that the Simpsons are more accurate in prophecies than the God of the Bible.
Hey, that's pretty valid. I mean, I've seen a few YouTube videos on them kind of making nods, and like, they predicted 9/11, man. I've seen that one. You seen Donald Trump coming down the stairwell and all, right? And he'd become the president. This is older. I think their predictability is better than anything we've seen come out of the Bible.
They're giving names and everything. God doesn't do that out of the Bible.
Yeah.
Go watch it. Go watch it.
There you have it. Simpsons are from God. Open and shut case. I live my life by the Simpsons. I don't know about you.
The real Indiana Combs brew. Revelation is proof God doesn't exist. Professor Hazel, I think the scholarly consensus is that Revelation was about Emperor Nero.
Yes, that is the consensus. Overwhelmingly.
Hey, look at that.
What does it
Look
mean
at
by
that.
that?
No, not that. The next thing from The Simpsons demonically prophesy too. That should be proof too. Like, wasn't I saying earlier that they would just, anything that seems supernatural, it's either God or it's demons?
Yep. There you have it. It didn't take too long for someone.
The same
that.
way physics demonically do it. I don't understand.
Well, it's not Revelations like in total, but like when you talk about the main characters of Revelations, that was the kind of the grand beast and the mark, right?
No, I'm talking about the same way physics demonic. I don't know what that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, but
Okay.
Professor Hizzle mentioned in here, I think the scholarly consensus is that Revelation was about Emperor Nero. Like, not all of Revelations, but specifically the terms about like the beast and the mark of the beast. Like, the mark of the beast was not grammaton. I'm trying to think what the darn name is. The gematria. The gematria is when you take a name and you put it into a letter form, or you put it into a numeric form. So what's weird is we had Neram was the actual in the Greek. It would have been Neram, and that Neram would have transferred into 666. But in Latin, they said Nero, And that's why the Latin books didn't actually have that number as 666. They had it as 616. So we know that the Greek did him as 666 because they called him Neram, and the Latin did the number as 616 because they called him Nero. So it was definitely the mark of the beast. It was talking about Nero.
I don't know if NFL is trolling or what. The Simpsons demonically profess to that should be proof to you, just prove yourself. The same way physics demonically do it. Really?
Yeah, I don't. I was trying to figure out what that means because
He continues.
It sounds satirical.
Yeah, he continues. NFL music rights. Yes, it's either God or demons. I don't think he's being real.
well, NFL has been like the whole time he's been talking about his church and how they're not actors and they're real and have real things going on at their real church. I mean, I think he's being serious. I just don't know what physics or demons means. It's weird.
Maybe NFL. Are you involved in a cult?
I think he's trying to say psychic.
Maybe that's what it is. That makes more sense in context.
TXDAB writes, so anyone that speaks well of God or faith or the Bible, you will cut down your opinions or just that? Ugh.
No, not just that. Like, if anyone tells me that they believe this thing, but there's no good, like it's an invisible thing and there's no testability, falsifiability, like I slowly but surely begin to do. Like if someone was in here right now telling me about, like, look, dude, I'm pretty sure I saw fairies in my garden. I'm pretty sure I saw fairy footprints. Like, would I slowly but surely like downgrade what I think of them intellectually? Probably, if I'm to be honest. So yeah, it's not just God. Like that's not the particular target.
TXDAB, I don't know if this is a good example. Imagine myself telling you that I have a remote control in my hand and you're like, Javier, you're lying. And I tell you, please believe me, I have a remote control. And you tell me, you're lying, Javier, prove it. And I show you a remote control on my hand. If you tell me, Javier, my God is real, and I tell you, you're lying, and you tell me it's real, and I tell you you're lying, what are you going to do?
That's a good analogy. What I would have liked it is if you changed the analogy at the end and you held up your hand and be like, it's an invisible remote. Like, I can feel it though. I can literally touch the remote. You're not going to tell me it's not real, but he's not seeing the remote. Like, would he still maintain you're full of it? Right? Anyway, it would be funny.
And TXDAB, I mean, we're not trying to make fun. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Hopefully that was a good example for you. It's just, I'm not telling you that God doesn't exist or a God doesn't exist. I don't think that the God of the Bible, the one that you believe is real, I don't think it is. And you have no way of proving it to anybody, not even to yourself. So all I'm asking, TXAB, how about we are a little bit serious about this beliefs about invisible entity?
He's doing this thing with Professor Hizzle. He's asking, did he do this or that? Like, that wasn't fulfilled in the Bible. So what's happening is you're assuming that has to be fulfilled. What was said is going to happen, that it has to be, rather than it failing. So that's why you're saying, since that didn't happen, then that's not what God meant. So it's like if somebody prophesies something and then that prophecy doesn't happen, if you take the position, no, that it just has to have happened, then you have to reimagine it a different way, right? So this is why, like, people try to understand text inside of the context of their time. So the other verse in Revelations that talks about the statue coming to life. Modern people now, apologetics, will take this position and say the statue that comes to life, like this is an AI. This is talking about like AI robotics. This makes sense because it's a non-human thing that the writer could have only thought like this is a statue. That's all that they could have understood it as. But this is a modern lens that now you know AIs exist and you know robotics can exist. Now you can begin to interpret that thing that way. But that means for 2,000 years, the people who read that and had a particular understanding of what it meant, they were wrong. So that's the problem. You're always interpreting these things in light of what you presently think is going on. So there's never a failure point at which you say, "Oh, the prophecy, it just didn't happen."
TXDAB, I saw that message that you just erased about, receiving change in your life. If I'm not mistaken, you wrote something like that. Even if that happened to you, TXDAB, I can accept that. I can respect that. You can tell me, Javier, I don't know if God is real or not, but my belief that this God is real made changes in my life in a positive way. Man, I can respect that. How can I say something negative about that? But when you cross that line and you start telling me and other people, no, God is real. God is real. He's right here. God, Jesus is king. Yeah, you're crossing the line. You're gonna be questioned. You try to cross that line. Because now you're getting into, in my opinion, you're getting into lying. Should not be lying to yourself and other people. Again, I will respect that you will tell me that your belief in this entity made changes in your life. You can tell me, Javier, this belief in this God that I believe is real, I feel strong. It gives meaning to my life. I can accept that. Sounds good to me. No problem. I will stay quiet and respect what you're telling me. 30 more minutes for the end of this live stream. Man, it's been 2.5 hours. Incredible.
Man, I wasn't going to come in today. I was like, nah, dude, I need to finish reading this book I'm messing with. And I wasn't going to come in, but I started seeing the side chat and I shouldn't even open the page, man. It tempts me in every time.
Man, Robert, you make this live stream more fun.
Yeah. Well,
and to give free education, man.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see the mechanisms. Like, there's a mechanism that we want to engage with that is like, how do you get to this conclusion, to that conclusion? And like, what's the value of this thing or that thing in terms of it determining what reality is? And we're trying to like find a method that you could get to a conclusion using reason. And like, we want them to engage with us in this. And like, every single day, day in, day out, they don't want to engage in that way. They want to engage in it instead of like giving a good logical premise for why they believe this thing. They give more of their confidence. They project confidence. They project like, you'll see in the end, like, I know, like that word "know" doesn't even mean what they feel like. They're just betraying a lot of confidence. They're saying, I have a lot of confidence, like complete and utter confidence. But they're not engaging with a criteria to, like, if you told somebody, I know this guy is guilty, and the judge was like, based on what? Like, would you tell him the things that you've been telling us? Would you tell him, like, I just felt it? Would you literally tell that? I mean, in any other thing that someone was asking you to prove something, would you do the semantics and the rhetoric that you've done in here? And it seems like no one would, right? It would be embarrassing to use this kind of rhetoric. You would either say, either I can prove it or I can't prove it, and it would be done at that. Yeah, but faith. Yeah, I just seen Spider-Man. Faith, Robert. Yeah, I understand. Like faith is not a criteria for a thing to be true. Like I can believe a thing and have a lot of faith in the thing, and that doesn't make the thing. Like it's not a determiner of what is real or not real. Just if I have a lot of faith in something, that real it does not make.
NFL music. I see your questions and your comments about demons live under the name of Jesus only. NFL thing music, one thing that you're gonna find is that if you grab a person from the street and you start casting their demons, they're gonna punch you in the face probably or start running away from you. It's most likely you have to get a person, provide them with the information of the God. You have to tell them about all the witchcraft parts of the religion, about spirits and demons, for the person to believe this crap, and then they're gonna start acting like a demon. But it's basically based in ignorance. That's what is happening right there. This is about information. This is about feelings and about ignorance. And people act on these things because of emotional reasons. Not because there's a God. Casting a demon in the name of Jesus has nothing to do with a God and nothing to do with Jesus. Professor Hazel writes, I think Buddhists can take multiple demons out at once. They have perfected the practice.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, Diva. I don't know the basis. I mean, I've heard that date thrown around before. There's a few different evangelical groups that do that 1948. I don't remember if it was 48 or 44 that does. Is the Jehovah Witness, Phantom, are you familiar with this date that's very close to that Jehovah Witness put as a time that like Jesus took over the kingdom or something?
I'm familiar with there being an event, and they said, and I don't think it was 1944. I think it was earlier than that. But the Jehovah's Witnesses said, Jesus is coming back, and they sold all their stuff, and then he didn't come back, and so they said, oh well, what it was is he entered something in heaven. I don't remember what it was, what they call it, but he entered a different space in heaven, and that's really what it meant. But the 1948 thing, I mean, that's because that's when Israel became a nation, which means that the world ended in 1955 because it's only 7 years, right?
Yeah,
that's what I thought. I don't know how we're here that now. It's been 71 years, but apparently so.
I don't know. Eschatology is such a weird subject. Like every religion I've talked to has a different version of how all this is supposed to have wrapped, or will wrap. Like I don't understand like why that would be such a complicated thing. And when people like Jesus in Matthew said, that no jot or tittle will pass away until heaven and earth has passed away. Like this seems like whenever I asked this to Big Nick the other day, has heaven and earth passed away? And he like won't answer this question. He keeps saying, but he said it was finished. And I'm like, but has heaven and earth passed away? It's a simple question. Like Jesus put that as a criteria in the verse. He said that the law would stand until heaven and earth passed away. So I'm asking you, did it pass away? And like the dissidence that people have, they won't answer. It's so weird that this wouldn't be answered. It's super weird to me. But anyway, if y'all don't know it, heaven and earth has not passed away. I mean, it seems like you could like look out the window and figure that out.
Well, it was spiritual heaven and spiritual earth that passed away.
Right, because something didn't happen in that time, and in the the original Christians thought it would happen in this time, and then when it doesn't, then you reinterpret it as another thing. This is just what I was talking about earlier with Revelations. They do this over and over. Like, oh, this is what it meant. This is what it meant. Oh, we passed that by. It didn't end that way. Oh, well, then this is what it means. This is what it's talking about. Oh, we passed that time. It didn't do it either. Oh, well, I don't know then. Maybe. Yeah, it just keeps changing. It's a moving target.
Anti-Semitism is getting as big and brazen like it is now in the world, and especially now with the Democrat, Socialist, Marxist.
Okay.
We are getting close. I didn't know the Bible
Anti
mentioned a Democrat, Socialist, Marxist.
or anti-Semitism, for that matter.
Yeah.
As the Jews are still God's chosen people. I thought it was now whoever accepted the name of Christ. Like, I don't know why y'all are still giving that group a coveted position. Like, I don't understand. Like, there's nothing textual. It seems that you can, from the New Testament, that you can doctorially say that those are God's chosen people. Anyone who accepts Christ now as God's chosen people is the ideal of grafted into the vine, you know?
Well, you still have to have Israel to get the third temple.
Oh, okay.
And because the third temple has to be there for the beast to sit on the Holy of Holies and declare himself God.
Yeah, this is, I don't know. People were afraid of Nero. You know, they were afraid Nero laws were going to come back around. They were afraid the Jewish temple was going to be rebuilt. And like they acted like that was going to happen in their lifetime. And when it didn't, people are still now reinterpreting that 2,000 years later as no, that's still going to happen. But you see, it's not Nero, and it wasn't like, oh, the same exact stones be put back together. No. It's like, it's this different thing. Like, dude, you're just reinterpreting it as time goes along because it can't meet the old standard.
So here we go. NFL says the devil lies. They are not casting out demons. I'm interpreting because bad grammar and spelling,
Yep.
but the devil lies. They're not casting out demons out, or they're not casting demons out. Only Christians cast out demons. The other ones fake it to add more demons. Now, what I'd like to ask is, how do you verify this? How do you tell that there was a demon before and that the demon is still there afterwards or gone afterwards, or there are more demons? Like, if you can't, you're just presupposing your own conclusion on the situation. It's a very weird thing to say to me.
I got a theory, Phantom.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, like we know based on the study from the 1930s that the soul weighs 24 grams, right? Maybe demons have a weight, right? And you measure the person and be like, they weigh exactly 16 ounces more than they have a demon. And depending on how much more they weigh, I don't know. I don't know how this works out. I don't know the demon math. But maybe we could catch it in a bottle or something. Maybe put it in the bottle.
Wouldn't like having a snack throw this off though?
Okay, I'll have to think about that. I don't know. We're talking methodology. Phantom, we're thinking in method here, and they don't think in method. Like, we're totally separated.
Can I explain unborn demons? I don't know. What's an unborn demon?
First time I heard that.
It's
Spider-Man
I didn't
making stuff up.
I mean,
when you're done, can you explain cleft lip fairies for me? Can you explain that?
And thank you, Professor Hazel. Appreciate it. If you allow me, Professor Hazel is writing, it's interesting to see atheists who know the Bible better than many theists. Thank you, Javier, for providing intelligent analysis of these biblical stories. Hopefully, people will listen. Thank you, Professor Hazel. Appreciate it.
Okay, I guess Spider-Man thinks I said unborn demons. I don't remember saying unborn demons. I don't know what I said that would have sounded like unborn demons.
I don't think you said unborn demons. That would be weird.
Spider-Man, you're hearing voices.
That's how it starts, man.
I'm telling you, this thing happens when you get involved with gods, man. This is witchcraft. You start hearing voices, being attacked by demons. Suddenly you have enemies.
No, I'm with Spider-Man on this. That's what demons do. They say things and then they deny it later. Phantom.
Yeah, probably.
Fess up, Phantom.
I'm honestly at a loss. I don't know what I could have said that would sound like unborn
It's all good.
demons.
TX Dab writes, therefore, if any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. TX Dab, you're gonna go back to preaching the coping mechanism. I'll prefer to hear your views, your opinions, instead of someone else talking through you. This is not you talking. This is someone else talking through you. I think probably TX Dab, you're a better, more interesting person than whoever is doing this talking through you. I think this in some way, this is literally being possessed by someone else's spirit. You're repeating something that someone said when they were alive. They're dead now.
Yeah, this is an interesting question, Diva. We're uncertain, like the writer of Revelation, whether that was their intention. So when we get terms like drafted into the vine or a part of that covenant now, like, was the ideal that Christians are in the family of God, that they're in one of the groups, as if they were in the house of Judea or Gad or Asher or something, or was the idea in Revelations that these were talking about people that were actual physical descendants inside of that house? And I think there's some scholarly debate on the subject. I'm not sure why it matters, but I don't think it's really settled. But I'm sure any area that's left vague enough, whatever you want it to be, people can run with. So, as Eminem says, I am whatever you say I am.
I always took it as being true Israelites, but I never really looked into it, the scholarship on it.
Yeah, you familiar with grafted into the vine? Or that there's this concept of like you've all become the chosen through Christ, and that you're now a part of this covenant. Like, but people now say the new covenant, but there's no reference to a new covenant. It's just the covenant. I may be wrong on that. There might be a new covenant term in one of the books, in one of the Gospels. I want to say Luke or something.
Yeah, but in Revelation, it mentions like specific numbers from specific tribes. Like,
yes, 1,200 from each. Yeah,
12,000. But
or 12,000. Yeah,
so like it would seem to me like that would actually be descendants of the original tribes, because if it was just grafted into, like, you're not grafted into a specific tribe, you're just grafted into the new covenant, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess you could it's likely Robert, that's what the intention was.
You're supposed to know, though.
I apologize. I have limitations. It's important to know our limitations, right? I think it's more likely that he was talking about the Jews, but I think that's probably why, like, the early church argued with this so much that, like, Irenaeus said it was highly contested. He wrote in 320, I think he was writing about the ecclesiastical history, and he mentioned Revelation, though it wasn't called that, it had a different name at the time, that it was highly contested by many priests, that they didn't see it as canonical. So I think a lot of people didn't want this in. And Athanasius, I think, was the guy that really pushed Revelation to make it in.
I mean, like, they could see it was the ravings of a madman, and they're like, I don't want that in my Bible.
Yeah. It was...
Yeah. Go ahead, Robert, go ahead.
I just think, I don't know, it probably barely went out and made it in. Plus, it's really weird, like, some of these... We could argue that there are 12 or that there are 13. Like, Revelations doesn't use Dan as a tribe. Like, Revelations doesn't, but whenever Genesis used the tribes, like, it mentions Dan. So they replaced one that wasn't in. I think it was Simon Simon wasn't in, or maybe it was Levi. I don't know. There's like 4 or 5 different texts that name the 12 tribes, and some will have one tribe member and not the other. And I don't know. If you really look at it, there's 13 tribes if you take all of the texts together.
10 more minutes until we finish the live stream. Out of Babylon, you wrote, all of us are here today because someone who loves us. I think you're absolutely accurate about that. I think that the closest thing I know about love comes from my mom, taking care of me when I was not able to take care of myself, and of course my dad. From all the stuff that you say, that one I think is accurate.
So I think, if I remember correctly, Robert, didn't 2 of the tribes come from Joseph's sons?
No, all the tribes were from Jacob.
I thought I remembered there being Joseph's sons provided 2 of the tribes at some point.
Well, there's definitely 13 tribes mentioned in the Bible. I actually just pulled this out from underneath my cat. I wrote this, I kid you not, 20 years ago. I was trying to figure out the gist of this problem with the tribes. Genesis has 12 tribes and it doesn't use Manassas. Like, it has the other of the 13 tribes, but not Manassas. Numbers 1 has all of the other 13, but doesn't use Levi. Numbers 13 it doesn't use Levi too. It excludes Levi. Deuteronomy 33 excludes the tribe Simon. Ezekiel excludes the tribe Naphtali, and Revelation excludes the tribe Dan. So there really are 13 tribes, and like every book that mentions the tribes, they'll exclude a different tribe member. But everybody acts like, oh yeah, there's no problems here. No contradictions. No, they're 100%. There's 13 tribes, and some books will exclude one of the 13, and it's never consistent. Every book will exclude like a different one of the 13.
Yeah, I was thinking Manasseh was one of Joseph's sons and not Jacob's son.
Professor Hazel asked, why would someone take pleasure in watching someone else suffer? That's a bad thing. I think, Professor Hazel, in my opinion, when it comes to God, and you say something to someone that believes in an invisible entity and they are attached emotionally to the idea that this entity or being is real and loving, you are attempting against their emotional attachment of this invisible entity that makes that person feel good. So it's understandable that if you say something that attempts against that source of feel good that I call it, they will want you to get in a negative feel state, make you feel bad, or see you in a negative light in somehow. That way, you will stop threatening their source of feel good. Hey, Skeptic Philosophy Robert, thank you.
Okay, I just looked it up, and Manasseh and Ephraim were Joseph's sons, not Jacob's. Did Robert leave?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. I need to leave soon too.
We're shutting down here in 5 minutes.
Yeah, we got another verse. All right. I love me some verses.
NFL music, you're 22 years old. You're too young to be involved in a cult, my friend.
All right. Luke 22:20. Verily, the priest did sanctify the drinking of blood and the broken flesh, binding the simple the simple in a covenant of dust. Yet reason seeketh no life in the grave, but in the living mind. So, there you go. Look up hell testimonies, bro. You'll see. Here's the thing, NFL. I never found near-death experiences to be particularly convincing, because it's like, what are you tricking God? That he's fooled to that you're not actually dead yet? I don't think so. And that's
And-
from your worldview.
Yeah, NFL music. My recommendation, this stuff about hell is about ignorance, in my point of view, and it only has the purpose of generate a feeling in you, especially a negative one. It's important to be able to get people into negative and positive feel states. That way, you have control of a person. You have control of the data, and you have control of their feelings. You have control of the person. So most likely you're being controlled right now by some doctrine, maybe Christianity, or I don't know, maybe Voodoo or Santeria or something like that. NFL music, you're not showing that God is real. That is a lie. It seems to me, NFL music, that courtesy of the God that you believe is real is very easily for you to lie. That's not good, my friend. I suspect you're a good person, and now you're acting weird because of the God that you believe is real. Judia, OMG, I watched some videos once about people who had gone to hell. It can feel convincing and scary. Yeah, Judea and FL, go watch a video that I made about Manny Pacquiao. Supposedly testimony about God showing him heaven and hell. I couldn't hold my laugh making that video.
So NFL saying, how come they're all similar? But they're not. That's the problem. Like, you'll get people who've not been raised in a Christian environment, and when they die, they experience what the afterlife is in their culture. They don't see heaven, they don't see hell. They may see nirvana, they may see that they're going to be reincarnated. Like what you're saying doesn't work. It only works for, the Western cultures where Christianity is dominant. And that's why it's kind of not very convincing, among other things.
No, Spider-Man, right? Proof is a lie or false, Javier. No, Spider-Man, you're the one making the claim that some invisible entity is real, and I'm telling you, you're lying. Prove me wrong.
They're having a demonic experience. It happens to all cultures. I mean, here's the problem. You have no, like Robert said earlier, you have no counter. No, I forget what he called it, but you have no way of saying this is here and this is not here. P and not P. You have no not P. If everything you see, you are explaining as this thing. You have no way to tell when it's not that thing, because you just see, you find a way of explaining everything as your thing. So, I'm sorry, it's just not very convincing when you do that. It looks more like confirmation bias and special pleading and motivated reasoning when you do that.
No, Spider-Man writes, prove that our personal experience are false. No, Spider-Man, prove that you're not lying. And what a lie is, what you're doing right now, lying. Prove that you're not lying.
Well, I have no doubt that
Otherwise,
they had.
say it again.
I was going to say I have no doubt that they've had personal experiences. I've had personal experiences, but the question is, what do those mean, and what do they tell me about anything? And what I found is they don't mean a whole lot, because other people have personal experiences and come to different conclusions. So personal experiences is not a good method for coming to conclusions.
I think Spider-Man Phantom X is telling you in a very nice, correct way. The way I tell you, you're lying. And you can prove me
Well,
wrong and teach me a lesson.
to me, I don't like to say people are lying, because lying is like saying false things with an intention to deceive. And I don't think anyone's trying to deceive me. I think they are mistaken, but they're not intending to deceive me. They're telling me, they're reporting to me their honest beliefs. I have no doubt of that for the most part.
That one I have to disagree, Phantom, because if someone tells me having a personal relationship with God and I tell them you're lying, they just can easily prove me wrong and show me this relationship with the God, show me the God, or point me to the God, or give me something that tells me that the God that you're saying is real. But they're not able to say that, and they continue saying it. That's dishonest. They're lying, in my point of view.
Sure. I understand that point of view. It's just not one I hold. I think the psychological effects of indoctrination and delusion and just believing things are more powerful than just a simple, show me, not being able to show someone else doesn't change your beliefs. It's just, I think they're more stable than that, and I wouldn't call someone a liar just because of that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
would
not.
now I would call someone a liar if they say atheists believe this, and I say I'm an atheist and I don't believe that. If they then continue to say atheists believe this, that's a lie, because they've been corrected about someone else's opinion. But on their own opinions, that's a little bit different to me.
But if you tell me, Phantom, that you are 100 years old, you're telling me a lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, Phantom, you just said a lie. You're lying to me. That doesn't make you a liar, right? That you say a lie, that doesn't make you a liar.
If I say something false, that doesn't make me a liar, because
Mm-hmm.
a liar is intentional. I have to be saying something false, know it is false, and trying to deceive you. Or I just have to be knowing it's false. I have to know it's false and say it anyway. And that doesn't, just because someone told me something is false doesn't mean I believe it is false.
Or
So like,
if you continue to lie about many different things.
well, I mean, what if you continue being mistaken about many different things?
Yeah, if you intentionally uh, not tell truth about many different things, someone could call you a liar because you're doing this over and over and over again.
I mean, it
What
depends. Like if you know it's not true, you're lying. I agree with you. But if you believe it is true and you're saying it, and someone keeps telling you, well, you'd have to say, well, I believe this person, and therefore I believe the thing I said was false. But if you don't believe the person, you still believe the thing that you said was the thing you said was true. Like to me, lying means you can't you're not lying for saying false things. You're only lying if you know it's false when you say it. If you believe it's false when
so
you say it.
two things. That's one of the reasons I don't call anybody a liar. I tell
Right.
them you are lying. I'm not telling the person is a liar. That's one. And two, and the music stop. That means 3 hours. Uh, and I forgot the number two.
Okay.
The music stopped, broke my concentration. I was gonna say something about this lion thing. I don't remember what was number two, but one of the reasons before I used to be like, well, uh, what proof do you have? I'm taking a different approach about this. I'm telling people you're lying, and I'm giving a person a chance to prove me wrong and make me shut up. And by providing information that what they're telling me is true, and then the next day they tell me the same thing without providing any proof. I think what you're saying is that they really believe that what they are saying is true. At what moment does it become a lie in your view? Because
Um,
because they keep doing it over and over and over. When someone is telling them you're lying, you're not providing any evidence at all.
I don't
Nothing.
know.
Zero.
Yeah, I don't know. Like someone like let's take Diva for instance. Like I've interacted with Diva for months now, and he has said the same things over and over again, and not been able to back up any of his claims. But I don't think he's lying. I think he honestly believes the things he's saying. Um, and I don't know at what point do I say someone's lying. There are people I think are lying, um, and lie regularly, but I think most people don't. I think people are much more honestly mistaken, and very like strongly dogmatic in their beliefs than they are lying. And when you're dogmatic in your beliefs, it's really um it, it's really hard to change those beliefs. And you don't even want to. So I don't know. I think look, I can give you an example of someone I do think is lying, and that's Kenneth Copeland. I think that guy's a liar all day long. Um,
How can you
so
tell? How can you tell that he's lying?
um, it's mostly vibes. I don't have any specific thing that I could point to and say this is why he's lying. It's a vibes thing. I would say his the way he is so blatantly a grifter, and just like, yeah, I need you to send me your rent this month so that I can buy a third private jet. Okay. Yeah, you're not doing this for God. You're a liar. You found out a way to get money and get lots of money, and that's what you're doing.
So when someone say that Phantom, you're incorrect about saying that Kenneth Copeland is lying.
Sure, I could be wrong about that.
Are you wrong?
I don't. I mean,
I think I
so
think you're
I
getting
don't
my
know.
point.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know that I'm correct. I this is a vibes thing, and Kenneth Copeland would deny it, of course, but you would expect him to because his entire uh ministry, his entire organization relies on him lying. Um, so yeah, I mean, I can't prove it. It's an internal epistemic stance that he has compared to what he says, and I can't prove that's what his epistemic stance is. I just feel like he's lying. I don't feel like Diva is.
You don't have to prove it. The person has to
No,
prove
I
it
can't.
that
I
they're
don't
not
know. I
lying.
don't how. How do you prove that you're not lying?
Yeah, exactly. For example, right
No,
now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
how do you prove that you're not lying? eh, that you're how do you prove that you're mistaken and not lying?
Okay,
That's the question.
so if I tell you, I'm gonna tell you a truth or a lie right now, okay? I
Okay.
have a bottle of spray alcohol in my hand right now.
Okay.
I telling the truth or
So
am I lying?
I don't know. I can't see your hand. That's that's a little bit different because you're on video. You could show me.
How can we
It's
determine if we want to determine if I'm telling the truth or lie? What would you do?
okay. So what I've said all along since we've been talking about lying is it's not about whether what you are saying is true. It's about what you believe. If I say that if I believe that Kenneth Copeland is a liar, if I'm wrong, I'm mistaken, but I'm not lying because I believe that. I believe that to my it's there's no doubt in my mind that he's a liar. So when I say he's a liar, if even if I'm wrong, I'm not lying, I'm just mistaken. Because lying is an intentional misrepresentation of your belief state. So if you showed me that you had a bottle in of I don't know what you said spray alcohol. I don't know what that is. But
Yeah,
you had show me you
a
had a
bottle of alcohol. Yes.
okay. If you showed me a bottle of alcohol in your hand, you would be definitely telling the truth. Well, most likely. It's unlikely that you would think you don't have a bottle of alcohol in your hand, lie to me about it, and then lie to me about your belief state, and actually have a bottle of alcohol in your hand. So if you said I have a bottle of alcohol in my hand, and then you show me, I'm like, yes, you have a bottle of alcohol in your hand. You are telling me the truth. Now, if you didn't have a bottle of alcohol in your hand, that doesn't mean you're lying. You could still believe it. You could be having a hallucination that you do have a bottle of alcohol in your hand. You could believe that. And then if you do that, you're not lying to me when you say that. You're just wrong.
So
You're
as it seems to me, Phantom, that not approaching the finding out or asking the question if I'm lying or not, if you're not taking any action towards that place, nothing is going to happen. But if you decide from your own decision to call me, tell me that I'm lying, I have an option to tell you, okay, I don't care. Or I tell you, hey, I am not lying, I'm telling the truth. And you continue and tell me, Javier, you're lying. You don't have a bottle of alcohol in your hand.
sure. I mean, I don't try to assess people's internal states for the most part. If people say this is what they think, I believe them. Um, and what I'll do is, well, why do you believe that? You know, and there are people who, when I've started asking them why they believe what they believe, their reasons for believing are so bad. It's like, okay, I think you are lying to me about what you believe. But it's after I investigate why they believe what they believe that I'm like, okay, I think you're lying to me. That you don't actually believe this, and that is uh, irrelevant to whether what they said is true or not. Um, that it because lying is an attempt to deceive.
And I think that some of the people that believe in these invisible entities, they are purposely deceiving
I
themselves.
think so. Uh, I don't think you can purposely deceive yourself. You know if you're lying to yourself. Um, I don't think it's possible to deceive yourself. You can be deceived, you can try to deceive others, but you know deep down what you what you believe.
I think I don't know, Phantom. You make me think about what I'm talking about when I say that people, some of these people that are saying that God is real, Jesus is king, stuff like that, they're just lying, plainly lying. I mean, I'm trying to engage in this approach or conversation where you can tell me, Javier, I'm not lying. I can prove it to you, and they don't do anything. So is it because they're just believing? Then why you don't say, hey, just I believe, Javier? And that will be, I will be like, okay, thank you for your honesty.
Well, I think some of that is a couple of different things. Like you have you Javier have this thing that you do before you believe a claim. And it's probably very similar to mine because we're both, I feel like we've talked enough. I think we have similar dispositions towards epistemology. But you can look at someone like NFL here, and he's all night, he's been giving things like, my church did this, and demon possessions, and NDEs. And he's got all this stuff that to him is very convincing. And it doesn't even move the needle for me because I look at that and I'm like, that is well documented from multiple cultures, lots of explanations, and including non supernatural explanations. Why would I believe your specific explanation when we have many other explanations for it? But to him, I assume it's to him, that's a very convincing evidence. He thinks he has evidence and that we're just ignoring it. Um, and that we are being uh, stubborn for not letting his evidence prove to us that he's being truthful.
So,
Um,
so in the case of NFL, I have two ways to approach, whatever he's saying, like, hey, you don't have no evidence of what you're saying, or I can tell them by my choice, you're lying, and put him
sure.
in a position where he could say, no, I'm not lying, and I can tell them, prove it that you're not lying. I'm risking and putting myself out there by calling someone else lying and then having to apologize
Mhm.
because I was absolutely mistaken. I think this is a different approach that I'm taking about these crazy beliefs in invisible spirits, where
Oh,
I call
sure.
people, probably a little bit uncomfortable. Probably some people think it's offensive that I tell them, hey, I'm not calling you a liar. I'm telling you what you just said is a lie. Can you prove me wrong? And the person say, well, Jesus is Lord.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I don't even know how we got onto this. I just don't. I don't generally call people liars. I don't think. I think most people I talk. I think most people generally are very pretty honest about themselves. Uh, it's silly to, especially when you're trying to convince someone of to believe something, unless you're trying to uh, con them. It's a really silly thing to lie because it, why would they believe you know why you believe, and if you lie about why you believe, um what do you think you're going to convince the other person of? It just seems like a really poor approach to me to even
To
try.
tell them that they're lying.
No, no, it's the reason I don't think people are lying is because if I'm trying to convince you of something, I'm going to give you the reasons I'm convinced of this thing. um
Like
and
you as a believer, you're saying. You give me an
uh,
example after you were a believer.
well, even if I'm trying to convince you of anything, I'm going to it's going to be something that I believe. I'm not going to try to convince you of something I don't believe in. So I'm going to give you, hey, I believe this is true. Here's the reasons I believe this is true. And it doesn't make sense for me to try to convince you using lies because those lies aren't what convinced me. It makes sense to me to give you the reasons I'm convinced or the things that I think are most convincing, at least. And I wouldn't, just lies aren't things that I think are false are not convincing. They just aren't. So it doesn't make sense to me that people would do that. But I'm also not the greatest when it comes to this stuff. I think people, I don't know. People say I'm naive sometimes, and maybe I am.
No, no, no. Why would you say that? No, no, no. And I've seen some of your videos. I've not been able to watch them, the whole thing. But after watching like 10, 15 minutes of some of your videos, I'm like, man, I have to pause for a moment. I'm scratching my head like, man, I feel so stupid because you really, really make at least myself think, man. I'm like, man, uh, this is like something that you're talking and seems to be very simple to you, like something natural. And here I myself smoking, my head is smoking. I have to rewind again and hear that again. So, I don't know. No, you're not naive, not at all. I'm just trying to take different approaches, Phantom, to some of these conversations because I think that in the past, myself, I don't think I have achieved anything by going like very soft, trying to go very engaging in conversations. Most believers, they don't engage in conversations. They just push their feelings on someone else, and by pushing back in my own way, I'm testing if people get different reactions. I think in the case of Hugo Vaz, I continue telling him that the stuff that he was saying were lies. I'm not calling him a liar. Okay, I actually told him that probably he's a good person, but by learning this crap about this invisible entity, now he's saying lies. But he's not a liar. He learned to lie. Uh, by getting access to this information about this God. So I don't know. Probably he's gonna go his priest or anybody. Why would anybody tell him that he's lying? Probably the person would tell him, "Hey, probably demonstrate to that guy in the internet that you're not lying. How in the world are you gonna do that?" Probably if you engage in a different way of communicating with other people what you believe, instead of pushing them and telling them that God is real, probably tell them you believe that God is real. I will not call you a liar. I will tell you thank you for your honesty. Thank you for telling me that you believe that some God is real, some entity is real.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Like I said, I think I've told you this. I prefer like a more Socratic approach.
Hmm. Like
To
Robert
me,
too.
yeah, to me, it's a good way because it if you can peel back the 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 belief to get to the point where you find here's the way they got to that belief. A lot of times when you can get to that point, it becomes pretty obvious to everyone, including the person you're talking to, that that method is not a great method. If it's a bad method, sometimes it's a good method. If it's a good method, you get there and you're like, they get, yeah, that's a good method. I think it's a truth tracking method. That's a good way to come to beliefs. Sometimes it's not, and but to me, getting to that method is the better way because everyone can recognize a bad method. Not everyone can recognize bad data.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely agree what you're saying. I think that Robert takes somewhat that same approach that I myself, um, I don't want to take that approach, and I don't think I
Sure.
could to the level you guys do it because of the knowledge that you guys have and the patience that you guys have, I don't have it. I don't even try to do it. I think what you guys do, and that's what I love to have you guys on the live stream, because you complement that part that I'm not willing to do or cannot do, to try to engage in very logical conversations. I have said since the beginnings, I don't debate emotions. I don't try to reason people away from something that they're feeling and not really thinking. But you guys do have the tools to do this because of all of the knowledge that you guys have, and the eloquency, or I don't know if that word exists, that you guys do it through the word that you use, the way that you talk. I mean, you're able to get in these deep conversations with other people. And I think there's also great possibility that you guys can make other people understand that what they are believing is just something that is, you know, rational. And I'm attempting to do it in a different way. Mine, I think, is more like bats and and
Sure, and
and hammers.
sure, sure. I think it takes all types.
Hmm.
Like what resonates with me doesn't resonate with everyone else.
Hmm.
So it takes all types, and you never know what's going to change someone's mind, if anything will. Anyway,
Right.
it's pretty late. I need to shut down. I know we kind of went over your time
Yep.
frame,
And by the
but
way, I'm holding a bottle of alcohol in my hand.
okay, right on.
Thank you so much, Phantom. Have a great night.
You too.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. That was Phantom. What an interesting conversation at the end, man. I love these guys because they make me think, asking questions, analyzing, critical thinking. Man, I, I I appreciate having people like that on the live stream. I appreciate you, even if I don't agree with your beliefs, your presence, your time, Spider Man, NFL music, Diva, Out of Babylon, The Real Indiana Counts Brew, Professor Hissel, everybody that takes of their time to be on the live stream, to engage in conversations. You could be anywhere doing anything else, and you're engaging in these conversations about life, about God's beliefs, about people. I don't know. I think I find it interesting. So that was my presentation today about questions for believers in invisible beings. So thank you so much. Have a great night and an awesome day tomorrow. See you tomorrow night again with another interesting topic. A good one.